Hello and welcome to This and That. I'm Dave Lees.
And I'm Jonathan Byer. And Dave Lees, Halloween is on Thursday, so I'm dressing up like you today.
Thank you so much, Jonathan. For those of you who don't know, this is the skating lesson. I'm Dave Lees and I love turtlenecks. And for those of you who are new, we're going to discuss everything skating at Skate Canada 2019 and everything in skating this week. So hit subscribe below, smash that like button, and turn on the bell. Ring that bell for notifications so you know when we upload new content. Always keeping you guessing. Lots more coming soon. But we do have to give congratulations to our friend Megan Duhamel, who had her baby Zoe by C-section on Friday, right before the start of Skate Canada. And it was just the most appropriate thing, I think, ever. The fact that Megan gave birth on the day that Skate Canada opened.
All very fitting.
It felt right. Felt right with the universe. I actually texted her Thursday and I said, when are you due? I feel like you've been pregnant for a year. I feel like we've all been...
She probably felt that way. Yeah.
You know what it was? Is that I don't know. I didn't map it out as far as Megan and Aliona, but I grouped it together in my head. And Aliona gave birth a couple of weeks ago and I was like, okay, when is Megan due? And I'm sure Megan will be back working out in no time, but I know that this is something she's been really excited for a long time. I remember she had I once asked her, are you going to have kids? And she was like, I'm hoping by March 2018 that I'll be, expecting.
Flip the calendar, yeah.
But
exactly.
Then lots came up after the Olympics, and I think 1 year later, she is got her little bundle of joy, so I'm sure that child will be skating.
And she does mean little. She was hashtagging teeny weeny. Or
teeny weeny, I think.
Yeah, it was
less
cute.
Than 5 pounds? Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, lots going on this week. Vincent Zhou announced that he was not going to be competing at the Grand Prix because of midterms. Now, he would have missed his first Grand Prix maybe because of midterms, so there's a lot of speculation going on here from people outside of his rink. And there's always been speculation around Vincent because there's been a lot of... He has one of the more aggressive mothers, I think, in American skating.
The nice way to say that, Dave.
Yes. What skater doesn't have some sort of a stage parent? Okay,
but amidst those stage parent, she rises to the top of the pyramid.
There's just been a lot, right, over the years. There were some years where he was injured and the mom was he wasn't supposed to be on the ice, and even Tammy didn't want him on the ice, and the mom was trying to get him lessons with Frank. Right. There was that video that Vincent had posted unlisted with his mother yelling at him and comparing him to Nathan and saying all sorts of just things. And that video has
mean things
that's long been gone from the internet, but that was a real thing. Yeah. So he's in an Ivy League school. He's won a world medal. A lot of people feel like he may be ready to move on and use school as a break from skating. I think that's kind of one of the real theories about what's going on.
Break is in, you think he would come back for Nationals and Worlds, or you think he may sit out the whole season and then try to come back for the next Olympics?
Well, the one thing that makes me think he would probably have to do Nationals is, didn't he sign that contract with a sponsorship deal with companies in Japan? Aren't there obligations?
Oh, okay. I don't know about any of that.
He had a sponsorship deal over the summer, and I feel like when you sign those things, there are ramifications, and they typically do want you to appear in competitions. They certainly don't sign an athlete expecting them to then be retired or going to school. I think there's the understanding that in most cases, that someone will be at least participating, or it can be written into the contract all sorts of different ways. So, I don't know. I certainly think that his heart may not fully be in skating.
I can't believe I'm asking you this because I know we recapped it, but he was at Japan Open, right?
He was, and he didn't do great.
Yeah, he didn't do horribly.
It was more of the same with the under rotations. He's had injuries. Yeah. I think if you're Vincent, I think that you have to feel like perhaps third in the world is your ceiling, right?
Yeah, especially, as all of these other guys are getting just better and better. I mean,
he is very intelligent, and if he is self-aware and knows what his strengths and weaknesses are, and who he's up against, that wouldn't be an unrealistic expectation. And to keep plowing year after year could be hard for someone who's high achieving like that, who's in an Ivy League school, who is very intelligent, and who has a lot of potential. So I could see that, conjecture. I could see him coming back. I could see him taking maybe a year off and coming back for the Olympics. I mean, he's incredibly talented at the end of the day. And I think he's someone who could take 6 months off and come back and be better.
And maybe be healthier. Yeah, exactly. Come at all these things with a fresh...
Because Jason is in no danger of beating him when he's at full...
And Tomoki looks a little rocky so far this season, because that was a real question mark at the end of last year from between nationals and four continents, and he did some really good skating that you wondered if he was going to start to play a mix, or let's see what happens with Camden. But I mean, I think Vincent should be fine if he takes this time off. I would just think that the Grand Prix is such a money-making opportunity, and because he's so driven, and with the Mie Hamada and all this sort of connection they're having, I am surprised he chose to go to school right now.
It was surprising because it just seemed like he was trying to take his skating forward, and then to immediately decide to go to school. It seemed like there was like two split, maybe parts.
Yeah, there's two different paths in a way, and I think that the collegiate path is so important and admirable and all these sorts of things, but that will be there also.
And there's always that comparison to Nathan, and that, but I don't think it's just by fans and coaches. I think it starts, I mean, we've seen it start at home. So I am sure that he has gotten this his entire life, and I wouldn't be surprised if he wants a break from it. I also think he's very intelligent. He has a lot to do if he's excelling in school. And we were kind of cynical about it, but muted when the article came out, because one of the things is that he was going to be living in Rhode Island and then driving up to work with Mark Mitchell, Peter Johansson.
Yeah,
and it was like a 90-minute car ride each way. That's just exhausting, mentally, physically.
In addition to the schedule. I mean, the schedule, even if he was training and going to school at the same time, is ridiculous. Now you're adding hours and hours of travel time every single day. It just seemed like it wasn't really a plausible option.
And I think his mom was going to be there to drive him, right? So that he could relax and read for school and do things like that. But I think the last thing you want when you go to college and you self-actualize is to have your mom present, right? Like that's,
especially perhaps an athlete, stagey mom like this in particular. Yeah.
Just it's the last thing you want when you go to college. It's all about figuring it out. I mean, been there, right? It's a part of the whole deal.
So much growing happens the minute you move away. And it's interesting, and I mean, no offense to any viewer that took a different path, but I knew people that went to college but lived at home, or, these other situations at Curtis, or at my school where I went, some of the musicians were very young, so their parents were required by law to live with them or something as this went on. And they don't develop that same way, do they? It's when you're really on your own. And that could give a perspective to his skating as well if he decided to come back more firm in who he is.
And haven't we seen more of a confidence in Nathan since he won the world title, moved away from home, and really took control of his skating and his life? He seems to be more mature,
and he wasn't
more confident. No, there's
a
certain level of confidence. So I think it has benefited him for at least what's going on right now. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with Vincent. But I think he'll keep us guessing one way or another. Yeah. We will.
Yeah, because quite frankly, even the Grand Prix final, it would have been, outside of Nathan and Hanyu, it really is kind of anybody's game in a way, and a lot of things could happen. So.
I mean, you have to kind of expect, just from a numbers point of view, you have 3 of the top U.S. skaters that were at the Olympics in college, all at Ivy League schools. You have to think that at least one of the 3 is going to pull out of their Grand Prix events. I mean, it's just not realistic. Right. It doesn't work for everyone. Paul Wiley talked about how difficult it was in his day. Those programs were not nearly as complex as the things that are going on now. Right. So, and then driving 90 minutes each way, at least, that sounds like a nightmare.
Although if Vincent had gone to Harvard, then there would have been that fun Harvard-Yale thing going on.
I wouldn't be surprised if that was
in the mix.
in the mix. So
okay.
A couple other things that happened. Kira Korpi last week posted about Anna Sherbakova's, just her performance at Skate America, and said, this is, obviously impressive, but what is the human cost of this? And she is she's a person who is going to the New School for psychology. I think it's really interesting that Ashley Wagner also said that she is going for clinical psychology. Jenny works as MSW, a clinician. So I think it's very interesting how many athletes go into psychology and why that is. Not only the mental aspect of sport, but the positive and negatives of that, and the kind.
But is this, not to sound like a total hippy dippy earthy guy, but there is like this kind of cosmic shift happening in energy of generations and things like that. And I think this generation we're talking about, Jenny a little bit older than Ashley and Kira, but I think there's a desire to adjust the way skating is approached, and I think there are ways to do it, and I think there are ways to be successful but maintain something healthy. And we'll talk about this when we get into Evgenia. About different approaches and different people and what haunts who and all this sort of stuff. I mean, I don't know that you have to be so pained and tortured behind the scenes in order to yield a great result. However, Thierry's track record is, it is what it is.
Yeah, and I'm actually going to be speaking with Kira in a couple of days, and I know the one thing is she doesn't want to just take it on one coach, because there are many coaches who are a certain way, and Nobunari Oda even spoke about Mie Hamada, that he was really kind of running that rink administratively and then stepped down because he felt he was being bullied. And one of the things was that he felt that there were allegations of abuse to certain students at that rink, not necessarily by Mie Hamada. I think he talked about Marin Honda's, perhaps her ponytail being pulled or something in the rough translation that we saw, but there was just a lot of that the athletes weren't actually going to school. But did you? And I don't mean to interrupt your train of thought, but did you read Lucinda Rue's book? I actually didn't read Lucinda Rue. I know a lot about it,
and there is so much darkness in that book. Now, mind you, I feel there's a lot of unfinished business for her in the sport. But she was talking extensively about the abuse she endured in Japan and in these other places that we don't talk about as much.
There are also cultural differences in different things of what's considered appropriate in terms of coaching and what is considered acceptable in different cultures and what's considered acceptable parenting is very different depending on where you go around the world. But I think that there are going to be changes to that. I mean, you could even see it in the fact that Mishin was saying that, Tuktamisheva is a role model for people over a certain age and over a certain weight. Like, that just wouldn't be said publicly anymore in the U.S. And it certainly wouldn't be said with the weight comment.
Right. Well, see, and I don't think he meant a dig against Anna.
It was a dig against Anna, but it was something that wouldn't be said anymore, publicly. Right.
Well, even on Patreon, when we do all my favorite 80s events and stuff, and they're like, here she comes at 102 pounds, or I don't know, whatever the number was. But the fact that it was just announced on national television, it's just such a mind shift. Yeah.
It's interesting because even in the NCAA now with sports like gymnastics, the coach isn't really allowed to know the athlete's weight. I mean, obviously they have eyes and they can see certain things, but it's the nutritionist that really has to handle that and navigate that like a professional, even though I think they all find out anyway, but it's really, they're not supposed to be talking about it. There can be ramifications if that happens. So it's interesting there's a cultural shift going on. Also, Yugudin talked about Jason, and he offended a lot of fans online. And again, this may be something that I don't know, but perhaps is, more acceptable to talk about, but it was a rather emasculating comment, saying that Jason skating was not real men skating. After, Aliyev did the quads, this is not the first time. Remember when Tarasova was commentating?
I was just going to bring that up, Tarasova
with Ross Minor, and it was like Adam and Ross. I think it was Adam was skating, but she was talking about Ross. And they were talking about it being women skating because he didn't go for a quad. So the quad is something that the Russians are big on. It is so many years down the line, you would expect that someone's going to need a quad to be competitive, and it was a kind of a perfect chain of events. I mean, there were comments that were going on in the stands at Skate America about the fact that Jason didn't do a triple axel in the short, that he doesn't seem any closer to having a quad.
But Aliev didn't do the triple axel in the long. I mean,
Right.
you have to take the whole picture in. It's like, yes, Jason doesn't have a quad. Yes, Aliev has a quad lutz and the quad toe. But he didn't deliver the quad lutz in the long, and he didn't deliver the triple axel in the long.
I think people aren't used to an Olympic champion being so openly negative about another skater, right? That especially one as sweet as
It's
Jason.
beautiful.
Yeah.
And Yagudin was a beautiful skater. It's not like this art versus athlete kind of thing really affected him. If anything, he benefited from being both. And I think Aliev is both. But I think Jason, the kinds of jumps Jason was doing, like those triple flips in particular, I mean, they're certainly of quality. And I think if Aliev gets his shit together, he will surpass Jason. But he's got to let that take time too. I didn't think it was so much of an outrage, I guess.
He did open, Dimitri did open the door last week.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. Yeah.
And I think
seeing them live, I love Dimitri because I think he's so beautiful the way he skates. But obviously, so is Jason, and Jason is faster. And Jason has better spin.
Quality, yeah.
And the knees and this sort of stuff.
And you don't see that on TV as much. And I didn't see Yagudin actually there in person. And that's something that, you don't see.
Yeah, if you want to talk about athleticism, talk about how Jason is literally twice as fast as Dimitri.
Yeah, I mean, Jason obviously does need a quad to compete with the top men in the world, more than one. I mean, I think that is factual. I think it was the way that it was said that was, rubbed a lot of fans the wrong way. But let's talk about the actual event here, because there was so much going on at Skate Canada. There was a lot of buzz around Evgenia Medvedeva. What was your take on her performance? Rough short program, solid free skate.
That's an understatement, I feel. This was one of those programs I think you're going to remember, or I'm going to remember forever. And
the free or the short?
The short.
Okay.
Because I was thinking about this today. I was adjudicating these auditions in New York, and I was sitting next to my teacher, who is tough, but warm, depending on what moment it is. And I remember leaving a lesson with her when I was early in my career, and I had that look of Yevgenia on my face. When she had that look in the Kiss and Cry, where she was holding her chin because she was about to sob, yet her eyes were so irate and angry. I mean, she was vibrating. Like, it was insane, the amount of energy that was like coursing through her body in that moment. And my heart broke for her. There's no way she's going to make it to Worlds, in my opinion. I think she's sixth of those top Russian senior ladies. I think, but as a person, my heart broke for her because I hope she becomes a coach in a way, because I think she has all of this insight from having been at Sambo 70 and now all this new information at the cricket club that maybe she could integrate and start from the beginning. But I feel whatever kind of negative thing Atiri planted there is there every time she makes a mistake or something. And my heart broke for her because I saw the short program run through, because they were posting the practices where Ted was commentating.
That was awkward.
It was so unusual.
Did you see the one where they were talking about mistakes and Ted didn't know how to handle it?
Yeah, I don't know who was with him, and he said, I'd have to review that jump for Yevgenia, and he snapped at the guy.
Well, she's considered an honorary Canadian now, and so
fair enough, but
I find Ted a struggle. I really do. I find it. No, it is. I find it a struggle when something happens in skating and they try to make excuses. Because on one hand, they want skating to be considered a real sport. And then on the other hand, when it is talked about in that way, then they try to say, how dare you criticize the skater? And it's this weird thing that goes back and forth in skating again and again. And they don't make the money of the other people, but then Evgenia makes, a decent income. It's a different thing back and forth. And that's not being mean to say that you'd have to review the jump. That's part of the sport. That's part of how it's scored, right?
I mean, that's you being out of bounds. That's you being under-rotated. I mean, these are things that just happen.
I asked at a press conference in 2016, Ashley and Gracie, I said to them, you've struggled with your short program this season. both of you, here, but you had great free skates, and you've certainly shown that you can do short programs before. What are you going to do to make sure that you do clean short programs at the World Championships? Now, in my mind, that's just a real question.
Yeah.
That any athlete could do. Scott Brown, who worked with Gracie, wanted me thrown out of the event because he was so irate that was asked, and it was kind of like, and Frank was
So
like,
are you supposed to pretend, and you're not saying you sucked at your short program, you're saying the short program was a struggle points-wise. You had to come back in the free, so what's the plan moving forward?
Yeah. Like, were you going to change something in your approach? Like, and I think it's this weird discussion in skating where there's like a coddling, and the media doesn't know how to approach it, and Ted seems to be one of those people on the other end. And you either like it or you don't. There are a lot of people that are like, oh, he's great for juniors, but you're seeing he's here for the seniors, and it's the same kind of situation. It's not like he's just...
And it's so tricky. When I was following that Duke basketball stuff for some reason this spring, and I would make weird skating comments without even realizing it. And I'd say, well, they must be thrilled that at least they made it this far. And the people I was watching with were like, what are you talking about? They just totally screwed up everything, and now they lost. They should feel terrible. And I thought, oh, it's such a different mindset. And I don't know what
And a lot of the former skaters are rough. Like, a lot of the former skaters... And then there are some that come from the other perspective where they try to be protective. Yeah.
But this is what's tricky about skating is... It's what happens behind the scenes that is so vile in the skating world.
And that's what Kira Korpi was saying, is that you have...
And we have
like a
seen
church.
that.
Yeah.
I know. I understand that because we're a public forum, it's easy to say we're just complaining or being bitchy or something. But what we say is 1% of the amount of criticism and bitterness when we hear former athletes, other coaches talking about the same events and skaters, but then in public they just pretend that everything was great. And I think that's far more toxic than having constructive criticism or modeling critical thinking.
Even when
about
we did the World Preview in 2017 and John Coughlin was on, because he was running for something with John Wilson Blades asked me to have him on. He was running something for the ISU, and then he said that he felt that Alexa and Chris were in it for a medal. And remember, they had only been at 4 continents that year. He obviously competed on the world stage, and I was like, well, no, I don't think that that's happening, but I don't want to be seen as like the bad American. And there was that kind of vibe from like the camp of Corey Aid, like, how dare you not say that American is going to win, and it was like this protective...
Because
shield.
you know what, if you do, then everyone is disappointed, and let's say they finished 5th. Yeah. It would have been such a huge accomplishment for them, and yet now it detracts because we're pretending they can win the Olympics.
Yeah.
Right? I don't know.
Yeah, I think a lot of that is strange. Now, Tracy Wilson is so interesting. I felt so happy to hear her say this. She said that Evgenia used to be able to just jump with her arms, but now she has to jump with her legs. Now, do you remember when Jenny and I used to talk about Russian jump technique all the time with the too much arms going on with the ladies skating? And we used to get comments like, you bitches, you're afraid of Russia, you're jealous of Russia, blah, blah, blah. They love to gaslight.
We're talking about a technical sport, and we're looking at what the arms are.
Mie Hamada uses it too. So, yeah.
But it's interesting because she does jump more from the legs, and I do see better skating skills. Not great skating skills, but she has improved her skating skills. But she still, I find, in the free, because obviously nothing was really going her way in the short, the first jump is much more from the legs. And it's every tacked on jump in those combos that it's so wrenched.
She's doing anything to get and it's so hard to change. Imagine if you are a kid. When you are, and you have a certain strength to weight ratio, you're able to use your arms to pull you in, and the jumps are perhaps smaller, but more consistent, right? And it's a certain spin technique that Terry's girls are amazing at, and Mie Hamada has really used this as well. But you have to be very light to do it, because with the arms are not strong enough. Once you get heavier, you go through puberty, your body is taller.
Ratios change.
The ratio changes, and you need the legs, because the legs are stronger than your arms, to get you up in the air to finish the rotation. And that's the thing, is there's the school of thought where if you jump with your arms and your legs and you use the leg to get you up from the time you're a kid, you won't have to completely change your jump technique once you get, and you won't have to be done at 16.
Right.
But it is easy to be consistent with the arms. Yeah. Remember, and this happened with Yulia. We go way back on this. Yeah.
Right. I think people forget the kind of trouble Evgenia was starting to get into regardless.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's really important to realize how scrappy the technique was becoming.
Mm-hmm. And I watched that documentary of her, and she's talking to someone that I know this weekend, and I know that she feels very proud that she is still competing and taking matters into her own hands. I thought it was very interesting that she was sitting also with Ghislaine in the Kiss and Cry, because last year...
Yeah, that was new.
Last year, Brian didn't seem to want her to work with Ghislaine. Like, she was his baby. And Ghislaine has always been regarded more as, like, Hanyu's jump technician. I believe Yuna perhaps worked with him. But there's some... You could even tell in the Kiss and Cry with Hanyu and Brian and Ghislaine that there's a real dicey situation there. That's very... Remember we said it to Doug Haw and he almost, like, choked when we were talking about it? Like, that is a very tense situation about what is going on. And whether he's a coach that can help you get the jumps, or he can just, like, tweak them and refine them, or if he's a cheerleader. You know, a lot of people have a lot of different thoughts. I know you talked to, a former skater, JS, about it, and different people like different things and what helps them, but it is interesting to me that he is there. So now she is pulling out all the stops to try to make this happen.
And it would be something that could change the narrative. And she's youthful, you know what I mean? So she's probably not there, but I'm just thinking on the other end of this journey, she can use this vast amount of varied information to enhance Russian skating for her, or any skating scene, because she knows so many things now, even if she's not able to apply it to herself and be uber competitive at this point. She can still take all this knowledge. She's still absorbing all of this information from various places, and she could really take that back with her. It doesn't have to be about her getting another world medal. And quite frankly, I don't even see how she could make a European team or, top 5 at Russian nationals.
It is interesting. She's doing the triple sow, triple loop. It happened here. It's become a consistent part of her program. And yet we don't think that she could make the world team. That's just the difference of the standard of skating that's happened with generations. And you have to think that she feels it, because not only is there all this stuff about the split with the Terry and what has happened in the Russian media, because there are a lot of people that think that she is a brat based on culturally that your coach makes you and you need to show respect, and they feel that perhaps she doesn't because the technique has been talked about and things like that is a real dicey subject. But also she's looking at the fact that someone that was perhaps 1 or 2 levels behind her when she was training in Russia at her peak, I would say maybe 2016, 2017, you have Trusova, who perhaps was just young there. Now she's coming with all the quads, with your former coaches, that are there. And whether you are completely over the split or not, you're going to feel like you are displaced. You used to be that hotshot girl with that student. That used to be you. So even though Terry wasn't at this competition, that has to be such a symbol to her of, like, you used to be the one that everyone was buzzing about from that school who is doing so well.
Or even the imagined narrative of what would be told to her now. That kind of, when the short program starts to go awry and you think, maybe they were right. Maybe I never should have left. Maybe I should have retired. It's got to be such a tough mental game for her. And in Russia,
but typically also the skaters from the same countries usually practice together on the ice here. So she will be seeing Trusova do all of those quads. Obviously, she knows that she's doing those quads, but to see it on the ice is one thing. And remember when she used to really freak out Gracie by doing all those triples throughout her entire program, adding a triple toe onto everything? I mean, she used to be that young skater with boundless energy. And it seems like that has changed, and perhaps her numbers have changed. And when you're trying to change your technique under pressure, it's easy to go back to old habits. And I think you saw that a little bit on the Lutz, where she was trying to really force it, going out of the circle, from the point she even took off, and she was not like going to go straight on the jump, and she was going to be out of the circle. And I think there's a lot of old habit. The double axel is clearly not her comfortable jump, although she's able to do it. Typically, when there's a 3-jump combo, it's stronger for her. I don't think that the skating skills are strong enough, and that if they keep giving Trusova the components which they are, which we will get to, which is
Now here's the thing about Evgenia though, because again, she doesn't have the triple axels or the quads, right? But Zagitova is playing that part of the one who's supposed to get the high PCS and doesn't have the triple axel or the quads. And Evgenia's PCS were kind of outrageously high here, in my opinion. And they are being a bit, I think they could be even more reserved with Trusova's, but they are, aware that they're acknowledging that Trusova's skating skills are lacking.
But
Evgenia's still got a big push.
I thought that they were absurd, to be honest.
They were absurd, yeah. The placement, especially because in order to combat that high technical score, Rika's PCS would have had to be through the roof if she ever stood a chance at getting closer.
67.42 for...
yeah.
Now, Evgenia had 73. They're giving her not higher than she does. Come on.
But that's what I'm saying. I don't think that these are even reserved.
9.5 from Judge number 2. It was just ridiculous. That obviously she is nowhere near that yet. I thought that the GOE on a lot of the jumps was quite generous from the judges. The triple flip for sure. But
I thought the left edge in the free skate did look a little cleaner.
She got an E for it.
Yeah. But I see that they're working that at least. Like you see
the judges try to help her. They really try to help her when you look at that.
Yeah.
They appreciate an older skater coming back that has more maturity than the other ones.
Right.
And she is more of a personality. She's someone that everyone is watching this narrative, whether they're a judge, whether they're a fan. We've all seen her for so many years, and she's still fighting out there. So I think she has a lot of star power, and this is a sport that's built off of stars. But if Sherbakova, Trusova, and Kosternaya are healthy, I don't see how she has any shot. The one thing I'll say is that Zagitova has much better spins than Evgenia does.
Yes, Zagitova's spins are probably the best of the bunch. So
she got a V on her flying change combination spin, so she's not hitting proper position for the required number of revolutions. It'd be interesting to go back. I didn't review that, whether it was the sit or the camel position there. She's been known to struggle with both. So, I imagine that she did so many extra numbers when she was at the Terry 2 to change it now and doing perhaps less, than the insane amount you were doing before when you were a kid. That has to affect you as well.
Yeah.
She can still medal, I think, at Grand Prix, but it'll be hard for her, I think, going forward to see. And people say this about her love for skating. I think we'll have to see, because when you're banging your head against the wall, I think that
I didn't know what to expect in the free, and there was something positive about seeing her fight and do as well as she did, and she was third in the free. But I didn't know if she was going to implode further.
On one hand, third has to be considered a real great finish for her, and on another level, you wonder if it is enough. She did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. She did 7 triples, so she would have to change perhaps which one she did, and perhaps we'll see maybe a flip loop double toe could give her some more points, but she's not going for like a quad where she's going to get big points. And that film, it didn't really show her doing the quad certainly cleanly. And
let's not even pretend. Let's just get the triple flip in the short program. Like, oh my gosh. There's plenty to work on before you even pretend there's a quad down the line. So.
Yeah. And I just don't know if it's real possible based on everything at this point. Now, a skater that is moving forward, Young Yu got that triple axel in the show. And how many times did we watch her miss it last season? Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it was so right on, and the arms. There's something. Okay, do you find that some of her jumps kind of remind me of Brady's in a way? Something about the technique, or maybe it's just their height or something like that. Kind of has this similar quality. That triple axel was so gorgeous, and there were a lot of a couple of moments in the ladies' programs that were devastating or hard to watch, there were some very joyous moments at this Skate Canada. Genuine joy coming from people. And this was one of the first moments. After she landed that triple axel, there was a smile that I haven't seen in a long time in skating. It was so genuine and amazing. And it was just so clean.
I was talking to Tom Dixon, and he said that, last year when they were training, she worked with Tom Z on that triple axel all the time, and it was never clean. She worked with Mie Hamada for 2 weeks, and whatever Mia told her just made that change. Now, obviously, she did so much legwork with Tom, but it's interesting that Mia's jump technique seemed to work with her. Interesting that a skater from Korea getting help from a Japanese coach. That's interesting. I don't know. I imagine if it started to hurt Rika, maybe there would be more of a problem there.
Yeah, it shows you they're not so threatened by her, maybe.
Yeah.
For Rika, anyway.
Or perhaps Mie Hamada thinks that having Young Yu there will help motivate Rika to get those quads and to do a better job, right? Because she's been close on those quads for a while. So perhaps it's another sparring partner as well. I mean, that's traditional in skating as well. So... But I think Young Yu does have a lot of talent. I have to say, I don't see how Eunsoo could really beat her at their nationals at this point. The speed, the strength of the jumps right now that Eunsoo doesn't have. And it just kind of shows you Korean skating is getting much more competitive. I think Eunsoo is really going to have to dial it up.
Because Young Yu is also getting much more ride out and flow in her jumps, and that's where it seems like Eunsoo is really dropping the ball. I think Eunsoo has better skating skills or
performance quality.
It's a performance quality thing, but I think Young Yu will continue to grow in confidence and maybe start to sell it more.
Yeah, I think if Young Yu can be more consistent, obviously she didn't hit the triple axel in the free, although she did hit the rest of the program pretty solidly. So I think that she seems like a competitor, and that will be hard. And Eunsoo has to get over whatever has been plaguing her the last 6 months and really turn it up for Korean nationals. Because I think that it's Young Yu's at this point to win. And it'll be interesting to see how often she works with Mie Hamada. Mie Hamada does spend time in Colorado to work with those skaters. Vincent was being one of them. So, and also the fact that Tom Z has really lost all of his top students.
For someone who is a mainstay in the kiss and cry, we don't see him hardly at all anymore. Yeah,
the mainstay of like kissing the ass of U.S. figure skating. Just even in my own interactions, I mean, he played the party line. Yeah. Always talking to Mitch Moyer, talking to him up. Remember when Tom got in that argument with Ann Jensen? Not argument, but debate with Ann Jensen at Worlds, like in the bar about...
Oh no, this was Minneapolis. About 2-foot skating?
2-foot skating. And then he got in that debate with Christine Brennan when we were having dinner after the event. Mm-hmm. And he was saying, because Christine wrote one of those articles about how U.S. skating was struggling. And he was like, but Christine, don't you see how good it went? She was like, no.
Well, because she's a black and white, show me the results, not a show me the potential and the loveliness people are getting, even though they're finishing in 10th, Yeah. So... It's just interesting that Tammy came in. Obviously, Justin, who's Mitch's underling, was Tammy's assistant, so that's going to help Tammy out politically. But I think she might have a little bit of a... apparently, she's very known for being tough, too, but she may come back and have more of a motherly quality to her. So that was just funny, is that at the party during governing council... Remember, because Tom Z was potentially going to move to the Toyota Center, and they were... looking for him to go there. And he was there during the summer camp. It was like, this traffic is ridiculous. There's just no way. But he does have kids as well, and that would be a hard move. But they were trying to recruit him, or a top coach of that level. And it was just funny because Tammy's daughter was standing right near Tom, and someone asked him about like whether he was going to the Toyota Center, and like her daughter could have choked. It was just that... moment. Just kind of we're talking like skating personalities here. Right. So I think they played nice, but I think it was the Vincent situation that really started the unraveling. But Camden is no longer with him, Young Yu, Yelim Kim, so... But it's very clear that Tom's talent to me seems, again, on the outside, his greatest quality are the triple axels he teaches these people. Mm-hmm. It seems to be unparalleled, the kind of education he must be giving on it. Even, I mean, you had made some tweet once about, I think the 3 American men at some event had just really all nailed their triple axels, and you pointed out even, not currently, but they all learned their triple axels with Tom. And there is something of merit there, maybe as part of a team, but maybe that's the difficulty.
I've always felt that he would be a great jump specialist, but perhaps not the best manager of the package together, right? If there were something like that. And different people like his technique more than others, but it just seems like there's always been a part of the piece missing, especially artistically. But then again, when you watch Tom skating with his own point of view, it's not surprising at all, right? Like his skaters look like him the way Elaine Zayak's skaters look like her. When you watch them and you start to see, oh, okay. So
you're teaching how you did it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, how about Brady Tennell? What was we saw her in person.
I have to say, the short program dress looked better on camera than it did in person.
It looks darker on camera than it does in person. It's more cherry red in person to me.
Yeah, it looks like kind of a community theater costume-esque vibe in person. But yes, I am admitting...
For a Christmas pageant of some sort? Like,
Or Little Orphan Annie. Yeah, totally. So...
Skinny Mrs. Claus. I mean, it's...
But it does... It did show up better on camera. I was impressed by that.
It does not show up great in person. Unfortunately, the judges are there in person. And there's just a lower rent quality to her packaging than, and it's not, because all of these skating dresses are expensive, right? But it's just whoever is designing or picking the colors and her hair, and you just wonder, like, is there a digging in the heels going on by someone here? Because it's not changing.
And they were talking about how different the choreographic approach was, and I didn't quite... I mean, I saw a moment or two of that at Skate America, but it came through much more, again, on the camera here, because I think so much of it is, Galina, it's aimed at the judges.
Yeah.
And where we were sitting, we were opposite the judges, so I didn't see a lot of the shticky stuff she was doing.
Yeah.
But the moves, for instance, in the short program I wrote before the triple flip and after the layback, they have got to be replaced. So, some of the moves I understood and were interesting, and some of the moves just are a no-go. Let's try again.
I struggle with the Benoit choreography. There are parts of his choreography that are genius. And then there are... And look, he's a... Whenever you go out of the box and you take risks, that's the thing that happens, right? Like, there's good and there's bad, and it's... I don't think it works for her. I don't think it...
It's in design. It's put on her.
Yeah. But I also don't think that perhaps she's the most artistic soul. I think you could tell she's a hardworking soul, and she's a down-to-earth soul, right? And that comes across in her skating. And I think that's why, even though people don't love her style, they don't hate her. Right?
Because she's doing everything she can.
There was something off-putting about Rachel Flatt, and I don't know if it was how the mother was trying to sell her and how she was like forced down our throats, and NBC was looking for a skating star, and they...
Right down your throat like a Colorado potato, Dave.
Like on Ice Network, they were always pushing her in all those articles. They went hard, right? And there isn't that quality with Brady. And I actually don't think it was Rachel's fault as much as those behind her. You have like Tara Modlin, you have the mother, you have the mother on FSU, you have, and it was aggressive, right? Like it was really, there was a vibe coming off. Brady seems a little bit more like a Kimmy almost, like a hardworking.
Yes, exactly. And Kimmy then, who in turn is always so enjoyable when she talks with us. I feel like Brady might be the same.
Yeah.
I
did agree with Jenny's story. I don't know if you watched any of them, but she was talking about just like the knee. She was really like nitpicking the little stuff about like the harsh knee that Brady has and how it doesn't really bend into the ice and use her knees as much with the rise and fall of skating. It's just, and I don't know if she just gets tight when she competes or it's always like that, but that is, she's taught in the shoulders and the knee is where she really... is tight when she's competing.
But in person, she does generate speed.
She does, yeah.
So that's interesting. And I think she's a pretty quality spinner. I know she always does that same entrance into the flying sit spin, but I always love it. And I was talking to you because the caller here was brutal on everyone's step sequence.
Sure.
Every single woman was getting 2s and occasional 3, but Brady was one of the very few that got a level 4 on her.
Well, let me get a friend here that's going to help us just talk about the step sequences, okay?
Okay.
Hold on one second. I forgot to get her ahead of time, so let me just one moment.
Amazing. Hey.
Okay, I'm sorry, Jonathan. You know.
No, you're fine.
I can't do it alone. So I would like our friend Dorothy Hamill to help us out to talk about. Now, Dorothy Dorothy did those figures with Carlo Fassi. So let's talk about the step sequences. If you want to get a level 4.
So we're missing her. She needs to be higher.
Okay. You need complexity of difficult turns and steps throughout the step sequence. For a level 1, you need minimum variety. For a level 2, you need simple variety. This is so vague, but so...
that's exactly what I was just thinking.
Level 3, you need variety. And level 4, you need complexity, which is one of the reasons that one caller could say that you have variety, and another caller could say that you have complexity. But we are kind of judging this a bit on a curve, right? Then you could, for number 2, and this is going to just tick off fans to no end. But for number 2, you need rotations in either direction with the full body covering at least 1/3 of the pattern. So what does that mean? So I am a righty, right? I'm a righty in terms of jumping, right? Like I'm right dominant.
Right.
I land on my right leg. So if I am turning counterclockwise, would be my preferred way of turning. Right? Mm-hmm. You also need to turn counterclockwise. You need to turn clockwise. So if you're turning counterclockwise with Dorothy Hamill, like Dorothy did, for 1/3 of the footwork, you need to turn the other way if you want to get a bullet for a level 4 step sequence. Then you need use of body movements for at least 1/3 of the pattern. Most choreographers do choreograph this in standard now.
I feel like that's a bit easier.
Arms. Yeah, that's probably the easiest of the 4. Now the last one is that you need 2 different combinations of 3 difficult turns on each foot, executed with continuous flow. Now this is where a lot of skaters won't get it because they count as one bullet for 2 separate sets, right? Now, you would have Dorothy going like this, 1 foot, right? Now, you have to do it, and a lot of times what will happen is on the 1 foot, when you are going from clean turn to clean turn, you need 3 in a row. A lot of times a skater will either hit the toe pick or they'll ride on a flat edge. And when that happens, they don't get the cluster. And you could hit one cluster and not the other, and you won't get them. Gone. Yeah. Now, when Evgenia Medvedeva was on the Junior Grand Prix, she actually had 4 clusters in her footwork sequence, and it used to be that you just needed 1 on each foot, and they used to build an extra for that. But now it's only the first one that counts on each foot, so you don't get a backup. Okay. So it is why usually only like Satoko or someone of that level will get these footwork sequences. It's very difficult to get a level 4.
But Brady is among them.
Yeah. And
I mean, she gets that level 4 on that step sequence. So
I mean, there are some people, Dorothy's going to say, Trusova, did you really get that step sequence?
Right.
Were those skating skills really an 8.5?
No, her step sequence in the short program was a 2.
Yeah. And did you see?
So Dorothy, don't worry, Dorothy. She only got the 2.
Dorothy was offended by the component scores, Jonathan. Okay.
Understood, Dot. I mean, I'll tell you what.
You know, Dorothy's jewelry was robbed when she was on tour. She doesn't want to feel robbed with these component scores as well. She spent a lot of time to be an ice queen, and she got that sassy hair. Okay.
She doesn't want to declare bankruptcy on skating skills.
No. All right.
Okay.
And Katya is also looking at us, okay? And Katya wants to know if you really think those deserve 9.5 components for Evgenia. Because you know what? Katya deserved 9.5.
She might go. She might go with the motherland, though.
She might go to the motherland in public, but in private, what do you think? She
knows the difference. Yeah, she knows.
Yeah. Katya doesn't spend 35 minutes making you do a clean mohawk on your lesson to just take any old skating skills, okay?
Do you know what I'm kind of loving about this moment also is, for those who weren't watching our Battle of the Blades recap, all of these characters were unfolded. And these are two of many that I hope continue to appear.
There are more. There are more.
Don't show all your cards at once, though. I think they have to go watch the Battle of the Blades.
There's even more that I discovered that I didn't know. Did you know that I have a second Dorothy? We also have, like, famous professional Dorothy in the Ice Queen outfit, okay?
We have getting married all the time, Dorothy. Okay. Is that a wedding dress?
I don't know why I would need 2 Dorothy Hamill Barbie dolls, but I have them, okay?
You don't know why you'd need 2, but you know why you'd need at least 10.
I mean, amazing, okay? Dear God. Okay. So, yes. So, to go again, you need complexity of difficult turns and steps. That was something that Ashley, if I was in some of those was Unirob videos, I described that, if you've watched those, Jonathan.
I have.
Okay.
I have.
Then we have the rotations in either direction. For at
now
least
you know everyone's going to ask you when you're going to finish it.
When are you going to finish it? I know, but that one's about the PCS. I know some of them got blocked. It was really annoying. That kind of like took my... Took
the fun out of it, yeah.
Those weren't making any money.
It wasn't about a result you were supposed to come up with. It was primarily how you really dissect all of it. Yeah.
Yes. And then use of body movements for at least 1/3 of the pattern, and then 2 different combinations. If someone wants to request them on Patreon, that would be great, because it's a little disheartening when they blocked some of them, and it was like, you don't know how many hours of my life
when you edit in like that, I mean, the time is astronomical. I remember when you and Jenny first were doing the this and that, we would have to wait until middle of the next week or late of the next week because of all that editing that has to happen.
Then it didn't. Then we got real quick. But, yes.
People want quick.
Well, let's discuss... But for Brady, she did almost her best here. Right?
Yeah. Well, I'm intrigued. For the first time in a while, it's that toe at the end of the Lutz is not always as clean as it was.
Yes.
But again, thank God she's not doing the loop. I think now a 2 and a 4, that's not going to do it. She might be an alternate or something, right, for the final?
It's not going to. She's going to be a Queen of Zagreb.
Yeah, okay, great.
The USA Queens of Zagreb, Brady, Alexa.
Mariah.
Ashley Kane. Mm-hmm. Well, Jonathan, we don't know that Mariah is going to be a Queen of Zagreb, but we know, but we don't know, right?
Yes, unofficially.
Listen, the skating fans will be like, Jonathan, you don't know that she's going to be a Queen of Zagreb. But then Dorothy and Katya are going to be like,
they know.
Really?
They know.
Okay. These are our, like, truth tellers, okay?
That's right. Moment of honesty.
Do you think Mariah Bell is making the Grand Prix final?
Yeah. It would be great if she did. However, I don't foresee that happening.
All right.
So 5 Russians and a Japanese. Okay.
Yeah, I think, yeah. So Marin Honda, I just think for Brady, she has to be so consistent in the jumps, and this was a really hard field for her.
Yes, very difficult. Yes.
Some of the fields are more stacked than others. So this would be this was, I think, more challenging than last week. So I'm curious, Marin Honda, apparently she had a concussion a couple of weeks ago. And then she hit her head and hurt her leg again.
Huge leg wrap.
They had a car accident. Her and Keji were in a car the other day in Canada. And, luckily they were okay, but they were banged up from it. And there was a video of her in the practice where she almost fainted on the ice. It was really quite scary.
Oh, God.
And she almost didn't go out there to compete. And you just wonder then why she competed, right? And was she cleared? I mean, concussions are serious business. And again, you go back to that Kira Corby article where you see how skating is made the same way, like when you go inside a church, like there's a lot that is unfortunate, that goes on, that there's an ugliness at times. And just worrying for her. At the same point, she had such a beautiful free skate. Obviously, it wasn't competitive, but it was beautiful to see her skate with joy, to see her skate without major
And that's
mistakes.
the change. Yeah, because even with that rep, her deep knees, her beautiful edges, she dances. She is still so gorgeous to watch.
My daughter is still one of my favorites, right? She'll always be. We're always
She'll have a special place in your heart. But she did make it difficult there for a while. But again, at least she seems out of a darker relationship that she was having with the sport for a while.
Interesting that Raphael wasn't here for her, so she was here with Takeshi Honda. And I wonder how much time she'll be spending in each.
I feel that happened at her senior B as well. Nebelhorn.
Did it? I don't recall at this point.
He wasn't with her then, I didn't think. But I could totally be wrong. It's all a blur.
No, this wasn't Mariah Bell there at Nebelhorn. He should have been there. Unless that was the same weekend as Japan Open, where he would have been Nathan. I don't remember. Fans certainly do. They're going to write right below.
Yeah. Let us know.
Let us know. But I don't... it would be interesting to know how much time she divides between Japan and the U.S. at this point. It seems like, again, without those Ice Network articles, we don't know, Jonathan. We don't know. There was maybe 2% of the time we got valuable information, but gosh darn, I miss it. You know?
It was a good 2%, wasn't it?
That light blue background with that same picture in the background. Oh,
and that's where I always went for the results. That's where I always got the ISU links and stuff. I just always had the.
Didn't you love that spin with the articles that would make, even if you judged them, I still enjoyed judging them for being awful, right?
And some of the comments that the readers would leave on the Ice Network articles were pretty sad.
Or Charlie White's mom, when they were on Dancing with the Stars, when they started to have that little message board section. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Now let's talk about your friend Gabby Daleman. Oh, by the way, Marin Honda's La La Land, way better than Ashley's, I have to say.
Yeah.
Way better.
I think Marin Honda is a more elevated skater than Ashley.
But I do feel that the camp of Ashley is missing. And she often went to Skate Canada, and I felt the loss of her this week.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I really needed someone to skate to center ice in another hair color and to just hear Nicole Kidman say, "Love is just a game." Boom! You know?
And just like that, we're off on 2 feet for the next 4
Oh
minutes.
my God. There's just something about that, campy, dark energy that just was missing from this
Here
event.
it comes. Yeah, okay. Exactly.
To see that opening double axel, oh my God, okay? It's not the same, Jonathan, okay?
It isn't. But instead, we are treated to a one Ms. Gabby Daleman.
Right, so the eyes were on the crisis, again.
And the crisis was a hot pink midriff. And the triple toe was, again, whenever this started to go awry, kind of around the Olympics, there was zero entry. It was all set up, and yet it was still a difficult situation. Again, the whole thing was nervy. I just don't know. You know what it reminded me of? When she was shocked at her short program score.
Okay.
Let me know how deep the delusion was. And it reminded me of our good friend Sandra Bezic. We need a Sandra Bezic doll.
Okay.
Who, at that pro event that
she was good friends with Dorothy. She was her maid of honor, right?
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes.
We should recap Dorothy's old weddings. But when Sandra said about Nancy Kerrigan, when she was upset with her scores at that World Pro, when she said, gosh, I think she just doesn't know what the other girls are doing. Mm. Did you realize, Gabby, that there were 2 triple axels and, all these incredible triple combos? And did you really think that this was a competitive program?
So it's interesting with Gabby and the Kiss and Cry. So she's grown up. She's grown up in social media. She's grown in this micro-fame world of skating.
Mm-hmm.
The performance she gives in the Kiss and Cry, I feel, now that we don't have as many of these articles to feed, she is trying to set the narrative. And because we live in an era where you can't really talk super openly about a skater who lists fake medals,
but may or may not be going on. Yeah.
It is really uncomfortable to watch her in the Kiss and Cry, especially as she's automatically trying to write her own narrative. When Carol Lane tried to write it for Piper and Paul last year, it was almost tricky that it was the coach doing it, right?
Yeah.
Now you have Gabby doing it with a coach who looks tortured.
Yes. who knows that he's part of this show all of a sudden.
Who doesn't seem to really want to be in the show. He doesn't really respond. Apparently he's more invested in Satoko, or that's Gabby's concern.
Wouldn't you be? Yeah.
Well, she's more of an
Satoko,
obedience.
even if...
Yeah.
And I bet Gabby probably is obviously a much more gifted jumper naturally, I believe. But Satoko is going to do the work. Again, in this moment was she at Finlandia? Gabby?
Yes.
I think she was Finlandia. She's clearly not trained. And
no,
then
but she's clearly better than that. I mean, it would be hard not to, but
she had like that psychotic laugh at the end of the... I don't mean to use that if that's an inappropriate term, but it looked like a cartoon villain kind of laugh at the end of her program. And it's just unsettling.
And then she was happy, and then she said an interesting thing where, like, the program was real rough. I mean...
Yeah.
But
first of all, there was no program, but she was falling on steps.
And Dorothy would look at her as someone who was kind of dumped by her coach before the Olympics and had to get back in his good graces, training her butt off with Peter Burrows. Mm-hmm. She would say, Gabby, did you only really miss the sow and the flip?
Did you miss the steps?
Did you miss the steps?
Did you more than that?
Did you like under-rotate a lot of things that you should have, right? And
did you leave out the entire program?
Yeah. I wonder what Laurie Nichols' take on all of this is.
Well, because if I was Laurie Nichol, I don't know why I would keep giving them programs.
She wouldn't work with Gracie again after a certain point. So
yeah,
I would be interested to know at what point what would cause the rupture and what would be. But it just feels like this is building to like there's a lot of unsettlingness going on. You see Lee obviously not like really leading. She's
going to languish into obscurity. I mean, before we know it, because she was relevant for a while because she did have this incredible spring in her jumps and she used to pull out an occasional cool spin position or something. But
he seems really uncomfortable to be there, but at the same time doesn't have.
But that tells you everything you need to know.
Yeah.
This wasn't. For instance, I do believe Evgenia was training very hard. We saw her nail the practices. She has a fluke moment. She's absolutely flustered. It's a weird kiss and cry. It is clear from this kiss and cry that it was never really going to go great.
No, and I don't know why they've let it happen, but now we're so far along. Now she's done 2 competitions. You can't just, like, stop. But she is... I think it's a protective thing for herself that she is rewriting this narrative of the comeback and all of...
But it seems unorganized. Whereas Carol Lane was never unorganized about her promo kiss and cry moment.
Just the whole look is a lot. So...
Yeah.
And again... It's just the photo editing being so extreme when we see you compete on TV shows that there's something really... We're not talking like...
We're not cleaning up a patch of bad skin or removing one weird crease. Yeah, we're changing what we look like entirely.
Completely. And that's unsettling too, that Satoko, who has had to put on weight because it was too extreme, is now with her in the rink, has to be difficult. To have someone so naturally tiny.
And an actual star.
Yeah.
And hard worker who doesn't do shenanigans. Yeah.
That has to be difficult. So
yeah. And maybe I would have thought inspiring, but maybe not.
I doubt inspiring. Also, how about Trusova here? So I watched the documentary on her, and I was just so fascinated by her musculature. The fact that she is like the perfect height and her strength and the core of her body, and watching her, I mean, she is all athlete, not even skater, pure athlete. I mean, I really think she would be excelling in diving. She'd be excelling at gymnastics.
Anything. Yeah.
I mean, this is a talented, athletic person, right? Like the body.
I'm sorry. When your quad toe makes me think you could probably do a quint.
And like, she's talking about that she wants to do one, right? And you're like...
And I see how when she talks about it, I see how it could happen.
She was just working with the machine doing the drill that a lot of skaters do where you're getting into your air position, into rotation position, and just the force she was doing it with, I was like, oh my God.
Yeah. I wrote the first quad toe was so intense and chock full of adrenaline in that free skate. It was thrilling to see in her eyes like that, like, I am gonna get it, and it was really exciting. However, it was interesting also. Obviously, it's amazing what she's doing with these squads, but we've talked about how come sometimes it doesn't seemingly have the effect you think it might. Now, in person, I thought Anna Sherbakova's 2 quad lutzes, they did take my breath away. And the crowd erupted in Vegas.
They were as good as Nathan's quads, I have to say.
With maybe more flow on the out. But it was interesting, the Canadian audience didn't seemingly go as nuts as I thought they might have for Trusova's quads.
Well, you know Canadians, so... She's from the other team, Jonathan.
That's right. But it was a tough...
Remember when
rounding out with the bottom 3.
Who's our friend on the... Who's the Rod Black of the Battle of the Blades? Ron McLean, right?
Oh, yes. Hockey's favorite. Yeah.
Remember when he was... And Amanda Kessel helped, beat Canada on the... Gone
We're
the
still
next week, okay?
Yeah. Funny how that worked out.
You know how our Canadian friends are. I'm sure had a lot of texts from Canadian friends when Piper won. People you didn't even know watched Ice Dance were like...
Yeah, we did it. Yeah, it's such a nationalism. And again, we've talked about this. I don't necessarily have that in skating. But even when I went to the U.S. Open, the final, I wasn't rooting for Serena because she was American. I was rooting for Serena because I've known of her for a long time. But when the Canadian girl won, no one cared that she won. It was just a win for Canada. And it happens in the U.S. for people, too. It's just not something I ever really partook in, I guess.
Yeah.
Hélas.
Plus, we're critical bitches. So, anyway.
I could be rude to anyone from any country. It's like...
Listen, I went into second grade and said that I wanted Gordieva and Grinkov to win. I remember kids were like, you want a Russian to win? Like, what? And I was like...
Yeah. Have you seen them?
I was like, she looks like a Barbie doll. Like...
In fact. Little did you know.
So, Trusova's skating skills, even the forward crossovers, are such a cringe and so difficult to watch.
Yeah.
If she had a Canadian rival, they would lose their minds. But luckily, she only has Russian rivals. Maybe Rika you could consider a rival. But not really at this point.
Not really.
So there's not really a political thing that's going to be against her, right? Because at this point, she's the biggest name, the buzz about all the quads she is doing, and that's going to help her components, especially if she lands a number of quads. But the actual skating is god-awful. And we were hearing a lot of this pretty widespread this weekend, that it's really starting to get to people. At the same point, because the way components are weighted, it would not change the results, really, to mark her more accurately. But
again, because of the limitations is how much PCS could carry when you're putting in that much technical content, like you're saying, she would be safe. You can still mark her appropriately, and she would still have won.
It's hard to know what to give her appropriately, because at one point she's landing quads, and the other point her skating skills are so remedial in parts.
Now, I do find she's pretty fast, would you say?
She is fast, but it's like how she generates the speed. And it's the hockey-like skate. I mean, it's a tough one. It is a real... Can you give a person with quad sixes? Because I don't think she's sevens on skating skills. It is really rough. She can get into the backspin position incredibly well. Her jumps are incredible. Her ability to do spins is incredible. But her ability to skate, no. Her ability to do footwork, no. The stiff leg on all those turns, it
just blows my mind how you're able to... But again, as you're saying, if that's about a twitch in the upper body, it's something else entirely. But it just blows my mind that someone doing the things she can do... can't really skate with edges or knees.
And if she skated like a female Patrick Chan, imagine what she could do.
Yeah, she'd be Hanyu. I mean, she would be that iconic and...
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a feeling that people will love her as an athlete, But as a skater, there might be a disconnect, and that might benefit Kosternaya or Sherbakova, because I do feel that you can only push people in skating so far.
Right.
Right? You can only push so much.
Right.
Before people start to get pissed. And like in ice dance, remember when Marina Zueva and Igor had the 3 people on the podium, and even though it was by accident because 2 of the teams had falls, the Shibutanis, we're like, we're going to stop that momentum. We are going to really look at this and see if you really should be up there just as easily.
Right.
I do think that this will come, and it is happening with Gebois a bunch. I do think that it could happen. And what would be the result of it, whether it's skating skills being readjusted or a component or something, but I do think that there will be somewhat of either if it's like that Kosternaya gets, higher components by a lot, or Sherbakova or something like that, but Trusova's components, I would not be surprised if people really started to look at them because they are terrible. Really terrible. And I don't find that she has a lot of speed. It's not Tara Lipinski level excitement. Like, there's not that, like,
it's funny because
joy.
The programs don't enhance her athleticism and speed.
No.
There was the music, especially in the free skate, it's just background. There's no melody. It's just, like, odd droning on. And I know it's from whatever, but it doesn't matter. For someone with such intensity,
8.5 for skating skills? 8.5?
Bingo. Bring out the other one. They're both pissed about it. If Dorothy even knows what that means.
5, okay.
8.0
for transition. 8.64 for performance.
She could have transitions. I would give her transitions. Don't you think? She has that more than certainly the other.
She does so many quads that are set up with like the long Plashenko entrances that I find that a difficult sell. 8.5 for composition. Interpretation of the music, 8.46. Joe Inman is going to... He's probably dying. He's probably watching this show, talking to us as if he thinks we can hear him, Jonathan, okay?
She wasn't on the music because there was no music to be on.
Oh, my goodness. It just... Now, how about Rika in the synchro dresses? I mean, what... Like, last year she had very nice costumes. Why is she dressing like she has given up, Jonathan?
Yeah, and I didn't understand how they related to the program either. Actually, from a packaging standpoint, I was intrigued. She had some butterfly clips that were really sticking out. And I thought, gosh, I wouldn't want stuff like that in my hair when I was doing triple axels.
Do you think that Bob Mackie, Dorothy, really appreciates those butterfly clips or those dresses? As an ice princess, do you feel that she thinks that's how a famous skater should dress?
As a skater known for her hair, she would never have, obstructed her double lutz with a large butterfly clip.
Listen, Dorothy's hair may not be camera ready at this point, and I'm sorry, Dorothy, okay? We will fix your hair.
Got to air it out after being shipped.
How do you fix a Barbie hair that's been in storage for several years? What could fix it?
Let's give it a spritz and a spray.
A spritz and... I just feel like these wispies are very Brady Tennell. She shouldn't be having them. Jenny wouldn't like it, okay? Anyway. You know the Russian comments are going to be like, those gays, playing with Barbies. What are you coming to?
It's like, I don't think we've ever kept it a secret, but, whatever. But the gorgeous triple axel in the short, especially, like, just sensational.
Now, Rika is not the biggest skater, but to be only 4.06 points ahead of Trusova in components for the free, that
was the thing. I have to say, at Four Continents was the time I saw her live. And she didn't really take up as much of the ice as I thought she would have, and she wasn't quite as fast. Mm-hmm. But truly, to see her edges and her knee bend and all this sort of stuff, yes, in my opinion, she should be far ahead.
No, she needs to really work on the interpretation of the music and the performance to really get those up. That's something that she really needs to work on. Granted, it's not worth that many more points for her, maybe 1 or 2, but max.
But she'll take them, yeah.
But I think that that's really an area where she needs to... I wonder if you work on the performance and you have decent edges already, if all the components go up, right?
Of course, yeah. And the music is interesting enough that it could lend itself to being very showy. Not in that I think it's tremendous music, but it's audience energy-inducing music. That
I feel like she needs Roheen to come to her and be like, "Come on, girl,"
to teach her to kind of come out of her shell in her own way. Yeah.
She needs that. She needs a Roheen to be like, and she skates with Takahashi. Like, if you are not picking that up with through osmosis on the rink, I don't know.
Get him out on the rink doing the movements with you then.
Yes. Come on. I have to say, I really don't love the Shea short program for her. I don't love the dress. I don't love the music.
I don't care for the dress because I don't know what it has to do with the music. This is the Breakfast in Baghdad or Breakfast. Yeah. Is that what it's called? Yeah, I actually kind of really like the music. I find it very cool, and I think it could have a big effect if she went a little bit further. I think the only way it's going to work is if she pushes it even more.
See, I know that Tom Dixon wanted to give her like a Rhythm Nation one, and I think that would have been a little bit better. Seeing her dance off ice, I think could have been a little bit kind of like hipper.
It'll still be there next season.
They decided not to go, but I'm like, maybe that, like, because she could do like stuff with like body movement more than face. She's not great at, but I could see like that Janet like energy where you don't have to give as much face as like.
Yeah.
Come on.
But I don't know that I even view her moving that angularly. That seems
she did it. We saw that in that off ice class. So
yeah.
I think she has it in her, right?
Okay.
Now, how about the men here? Because this was. Well, we saw the best of the best and a lot of schlock here, but there were some real highlights in the men.
And again, some real joy in this event, too.
No, our Matteo Rizzo is trying to up the technical content. He had a real rough short program, struggled through the free skate, pulled out fifth in the free, but it was not his event.
Speaking of skating skills, I think he has lovely skating skills.
Oh, Dorothy loves them. She thinks he'd be great at the figures.
Dorothy is a fan.
Well, he's Italian, like Carlo.
Just like Carlo. I was just going to go there. Okay.
And Beatrice Gelmini. Okay, like, is she Italian? Okay?
Exactly.
Now, Camden. Let's talk about Camden, because he used to be a Tom Z student. Although that got...
That's why the triple axel might look so good.
And Tom got a little intense with Camden last year.
They weren't clicking.
They got out of dodge, although they just moved like down the boards because that's not awkward.
Totally healthy. Yeah,
as every move in Colorado seems, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that he is like a boy that's becoming a man. Remember that line in Sound of Music about a boy becoming a man who's still a boy, right? Like that I think is going on with Camden. But the short program had every moment of brilliance. That Lambiel short, he's got the Joshua Ferris long. So either he or his mother is really with it.
But even from the beginning of the short, you saw an intensity from him that made me think, okay, he's clicked in. Mm-hmm. Like I felt like he was in his zone. But of course, I still view him based on experience, even as recent as, I think that was Philadelphia he was at earlier this year.
Philadelphia,
But it's just, I expect the unexpected. But that look from the beginning was so locked in. And then sure enough, it was lovely. But it did seem like he just kind of made it.
Do we need Julie Chen to be here on the Grand Prix to be like, expect the unexpected? You don't get the reference. Anyway, a couple of the gays will, but it's okay. There's a show called Big Brother, and she has the very scripted lines, and she says the same thing every week, and she goes, remember, on Big Brother, expect the unexpected.
Oh my God, why is network television so mindless, like with these taglines and stuff?
And she also says, but first, the men's event. She'd be like, Evgenia Medvedeva struggled through her short program, but trained hard this morning. But first, Yuzuru Hanyu goes for gold in Kelowna, right? So that's what you need to know.
Okay. Now I get it.
Yes, but Camden Pulkinen, the quad is so beautiful. The triple axel,
it's gorgeous in the free or in the short, especially.
Now, he works with Damon and Tammy, and he doesn't fully have Mie Hamada as the number 2, but you have to think that that is coming. Because she clearly seems to be some sort of a miracle worker for many of these students. So, he seems like maybe Mie Hamada would, like, be a little bit intense. A little. But I think that might be what he needs before the Nationals, right? Like, maybe let him enjoy his life, for the next couple of weeks. He has a second
Grand Prix, yes.
Yeah, he has a girlfriend, he has a second Grand Prix, and then I think he needs to have some Mie Hamada getting him into gear before the Nationals. Can Mie Hamada come to U.S. Nationals? Because, I'm sorry?
Didn't someone say the person he was dating was Karen Chen?
That is correct. They're open about that. That's not like a rumor.
Okay, you said girlfriend like it was like...
Well, you know.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
He's dating Karen. Everyone wants like some skater privacy, yet they do post pictures together. So, yada yada.
Got it. So
I don't know what we don't have Sarah and Drew to post about their relationship on Valentine's Day, Jonathan. Again, with Ice Network, we don't know what's really open. Okay,
there is a void in the coverage.
It's like Tara Kane looks like she poses for photos with a lot of gay men, but we don't know. We don't know. They could be just very well groomed. Okay,
could be. Or the thing you said.
So, the free got away from him. The spins, some of the jump landings, it got sloppy, but it felt like he was willing it to happen. So it feels like maybe he's not as disciplined as he needs to be, but he wants success.
Yeah. What am I talking about here?
And he is someone who, again, if he is clean, he would beat Jason. But will he be clean? It's up to him. Right?
Yeah, that's the question. I mean, he has, as an artist, like he has this lovely sensitivity to him. He has great stretch, great arm movements, and things like that. I wrote the way he fought for the triple Lutz, Euler, triple Sau after he kind of had the issue on the loop was a good sign to me because, again, I had associated him with the other skaters that once things go awry, they continue to spiral.
Yeah.
So I thought that was a very encouraging thing. I kind of wish his step sequences were faster.
Yeah.
He kind of really slowed down here. And
Tammy, let's work on those step sequences, okay?
Because really he's just got the one good quad. He's only attempting the one. So right now I think it still would be very easy for Jason to beat him. No?
Tammy maybe threatened to send him to Mie Hamada. I feel like she would not allow those step sequences to be slow, okay? So
yeah. She would get that under control.
Come on, Tammy. Did Tammy wear her gloves here? I didn't notice her glove situation. Remember when she had those gloves on that looked like she was getting away with murder or like a heist of some sort?
We'll talk about it because who was skating to... One of the Paris teams was skating to music that sounded like Dexter. Do you remember that show?
Yes.
About, yeah, the killer in Miami. But it's also interesting at this Skate Canada, maybe they've done this before, instead of just a band, I just love, from an interior design standpoint, how they're doing the Kiss and Cry. And these were just 4 weird blocks with a seat pad on it. It was very strange and made some people very close.
They always have better microphones at Skate Canada. I remember one year, perhaps only Elkin Cabas will remember this, but like Caroline Zhang was like very blunt about her performance in the Kiss and Cry, and it was amazing. It was incredible.
Yeah. Some of my favorite moments, and here, when you were really catching them review with us, they were commentating on their own thing, which was fascinating.
KMT and Michael was fascinating.
Yeah.
And then how he was the one to stand up when he was the one that made the errors was really interesting. And then he bent over and the camera just got his rear end. And it wasn't a Brian Johnson rear end. So
I was just going to say, if it wasn't Brian, who cares?
Yeah. So.
Okay.
Again, what is going on in those pants? Did they custom make them? I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
He should get them in all the colors and wear them forever.
Yes. Okay. Keiji Tanaka pulled out a performance here. But he is good, and I love it. But to me, he is no Kazuki Tomono.
Well, listen to me. Keiji's the one who is skating to music that sounded like Dexter in the free skate. It was just like this weird thing. But yes, I think it is very clear Tomono has much greater ability in the long term. Now, Keiji is kind of really finessed already.
He's kind of the Tanya Kwiatkowski of the Japanese men, right? Like, he's going to be in there to go to Worlds unless Kazuki gets his you-know-what together, right? Like, but he is the steady one.
Right. But now Tomono may just need this season to get things going, because I have to say Keiji's jumps here were of a quality and a consistency that I think for him is at its finest. I think he's peaking as an athlete right now. I think they look better than they have in the past.
I don't find artistically that I connect with him. His music choices, the whole...
Although I still stand by my thing, I think their choice for the short program, although maybe not my favorite if you're looking at everyone, but for him, it forced him to have a little bit more personality, which to me was the biggest thing lacking in previous seasons. And it does give him a bit more showmanship, which I think helps him.
No, he does deserve a lot of credit. Look, he had that bad car accident, and he came, and he... really delivered here. 2
beautiful quad sows in the free. I mean, they were wonderful.
Yeah. And you wonder if Nam weren't at home, would Keiji even gotten the silver? So there's something about skating in front of a home audience. Look, when that crowd goes for you...
You mean when Nam?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, when Nam was skating and you wonder, like, oh, that helps your marks. So...
Yeah.
Now, how about Nam? I feel... Nam has been through a lot, and they don't talk about it, but I feel like it's been rough for Nam.
But you know what? And I agree with you entirely, which is why his moment after the free skate in particular was one of these cheesy, joyous moments that kind of gripped me in a way.
Were you crying by yourself, on a wonderful chaise lounge or something, Jonathan? What were you?
I have one right there.
I know.
But it was one of those things, not because I'm a fan of Nam, not because the program was that great, but you saw someone who clearly had struggled.
Because you're a human
someone
being. Yes.
Who delivered, on a human element. You just thought, wow, the unbridled joy radiating from this guy is just kind of really amazing to see in general.
He seems happy. He seems like, I've heard that he's, as he's working a little harder, getting more results, and then in turn working hard again. It's Suzanne says that success is contagious, right? You get a little bit success and then you want more, and then it's addicting, right? You get a little bit and then you want more and more and more, and you keep fighting for it. And I think he is starting to climb again to where it seemed like no way out. His skating skills and posture have improved. They're not great. It's not his area. But
for instance, in the free skate, when he goes into the quad sow, he has horrendous posture, but then by the time he exits the combo with the triple toe, his posture looks much better. So you see it they're trying to pay attention to it. It just doesn't seem a consistent application of that.
He may be a relative of the Hughes family, who were honored by Ice Theater of New York last week, where he can really get into that back spin position and will a jump out. He may have a little bit of the Hughes in him, where you don't think he should be able to do a triple, certainly not cleanly, but he was mustering some stuff there in that free.
Pull it out, yeah.
I was there is some Sarah Hughes in him. I see Emily like that. Oh my god!
And a little bit of Rudy Galindo at a point, because not actually, Rudy was a much more beautiful skater in my opinion, but he started doing these gun thing, pointing at the audience in that Rudy wave kind of way from San Jose Nationals, and that's when you knew this guy was just having a moment.
So Emily Hughes was in this video with JoJo Starbuck on the Ice Theater and Doug Webster, one other person. It was they were all doing JoJo's Edge class, and it was and Elin Tron, and it was just beautiful skating, and God love Emily. But even these others just have this tall, statuesque grace of people who did figures years and years, right? And Emily obviously did it, but she still has that quality that she's barreling through the ice, look at me, I'm a character actress, boom, energy. Yes, pushing her way to the front of that pack when they were doing the three turn. Oh my god, you gotta watch it. It's just
okay.
There's something really endearing about it. I don't know. There's something about Emily that just cracks me up. I love watching her. There's there's something great about Emily Hughes. Okay. Now let's talk about the man of the hour. Hanyu's performance, Jonathan, was mind-blowing to me.
Seeing Nathan, or just in general?
Just in general.
Okay.
And here's what it is. his knee bend and his jumps are more beautiful to me than Nathan's any day of the week. I just like the look of them. Nathan's air position is a little
transitions
more...
into the jumps and the transitions out of the jump. I mean, I know we've seen that triple axel thing a while, but when he just turns on the one foot after it for several times, I mean, there are so much more...
Greatest men's triple axel of all time. Greatest men's triple axel of all time.
I think. And the way you see the transitions in and out of the jumps are unlike what anyone else is doing, Nathan included. Now, Nathan is doing more. Nathan is doing more difficult ones, but he can't match that in and out.
Now, who is Judge 4 is the only one who gave him a +4 for the triple axel. Everyone else went +5. He almost got straight +5s for his quad Salchow as well. Now,
it's amazing. It's in the short, especially. Yeah.
Lisa Jelinek from Australia is the one who didn't give him a +5. We need to know about Lisa, okay? What was she like?
What more were you looking for?
Brendan Carey, like Jordan Dodds? Yeah. Like what to you is better than Hanyu here? What were you missing? Maybe she's like Joe Inman. Excuse me. She'll be like very defensive of those marks. But anyway, Australia was also very rough on the Kanirams. Just stunning levels of perfection. Just like...
And the step work sequence in the short, again, talking about this joy that one can exude while performing, it was right before that step sequence, he just exploded with generous joy. And the audience just ate it up. And
no, not everyone loves his programs, right? Like, you either love them or you don't. And the fact that he's repeating is, very controversial in skating. We're going to hear about that all season. Get ready. Because as it gets tight between him and Nathan, they will point to the fact that he is repeating programs, even though he didn't compete a full season last year. But just know that that is something that will be... It's like when Tessa...
Where do you land on that?
The programs
it's interesting because it's
are not what they were, right? Like, programs can often be like background music. It's not like an ice dance team recycling things, right? Because we didn't see them 10,000 times last year, I just don't find that the music is the greatest. But I enjoy watching him skate and the energy that he's giving. That I don't... It would be interesting. Unless you see him and Nathan at full speed, at full capacity, I don't think it's a problem. When you're splitting hairs between two people, that's the only time, and that's if they both go clean, that I think that it would really matter.
Right.
And then it comes down to
that's
personal
preference.
That's a big
ask at these kinds of,
I think that's the only time that you would maybe be like, but at the same time, Hanyu's performance energy is incredible. So is Nathan's when he does the footwork sequence at the end. But Hanyu has better skating skills.
Yeah.
And better transition, cleaner transitions.
Before that final step work.
Into the axle and just the transitions and the bend of the knee.
It's a bit more sophisticated skating in general.
Yeah.
But again, it's a big ask to get them both. And again, it's not to say that Hanyu's programs aren't interesting. It's just when he does programs, they are interesting. So I just selfishly want to see more.
The one thing is, though, it seems that Hanyu has been training at 200%.
Yeah.
And it seems like Nathan hasn't kicked it into his highest gear yet. So, I mean, you have to wonder. The fact that Nathan is kind of maintaining when he's at college, will that come to bite him a little bit at a certain point? It didn't last year as much. He was able to get through his Grand Prix. The second one was a little dicier. And then, pull it together and be at his best when he needed to be. Now, without that bank of training every day, eventually I think it starts to wear off, but it seems like he's still working hard. I just wonder, you're also against Hanyu. Like, when you're neck and neck,
right.
It'll be interesting. So that's why I don't think that Nathan will do this arrangement for the entire 4 years.
Well, and let's see, this could be the first time they really show down at a Grand Prix final, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, we'll have to see. Maybe something will change for one of them.
Don't say that, John. Okay? I want it to happen. okay?
No, I want it to happen too. No, I mean, maybe something will change with their content post a Grand Prix final based on how that went.
I thought you were talking about like health or something. And I was
No. No, it's good for the sport to have these two as much as possible.
I feel excited, okay?
Yeah, exactly.
I was excited by Nathan last week. I'm excited by Hanyu this week.
And I was excited by Hanyu's quad toe Euler triple flip. That was...
I appreciate great talent.
It
used to tick some friends off that I liked both Mao and Yuna. They couldn't understand it, you know? And I was like, they're good.
I just am a fan of the sport, and ergo I love all who enhance it.
I love greatness, okay? It's like how I liked both Tessa and Scott and the French. You know,
yeah.
And I liked Marilyn, Charlie, and the Canadians.
Of course.
But anyway, yes. But Hanyu, I think in the GOE, he's going to have the edge over Nathan. But Nathan can do that quad lutz, so
right,
and the quad flip, so
and you know Hanyu's quad loop here wasn't totally ready, you know, or you know what I mean. It didn't totally click, so
but it did in the practice. So and he's putting it out, and but you know what? Nathan had a beautiful quad loop once upon a time.
Yeah, he only did it at one competition, I think, like almost to just prove he could. Or
maybe two. It was when he was doing that. His Olympic program at the beginning of the season, but I never count that out. So, but his triple axels are obviously nowhere near Hanyu's. His are like a +2, +3.
How could anyone's be? Yeah,
Hanyu's is like a +5 every time.
Yeah,
so
unless you're from Australia,
unless you're Lisa Jelinek from Australia, and we hope that you are just like hiding in shame. Although callers have alleged that they get like angry messages from different fans.
Well, what we get, imagine what they get.
That's a real thing.
And I thought Hanyu was a real class act. He gave Nam that big hug and then told the audience to kind of be quiet for Nam after they were erupting at his score.
And he was with Nam back for those training years, so he knows.
Yeah, I mean, but again, didn't have to do all of that. And it was a great testament to Nam about what you can do after a performance like that, because so many times we see the opposite happen after a performance like Hanyu's. So it was nice that he rode that wave.
Now let's discuss the dance event. From both sides now.
Yep. Where do you want to start, Dave?
I think we got to start with Gilles and Poirier against Hubbell and Donohue.
Talk about joy.
Now, in the incestuous world of ice dance, just remember, Piper and Zach used to be partners both on and off the ice until they hated each other and split. It just is incredible to watch that. Like, imagine if you broke up with a significant other and then were competing for gold like a decade later. Like that just doesn't happen in real life.
Yeah. The closest thing that happened to me was when Brandon and I split. We had to do an opera together like shortly after there. And it was kind of, I mean, mind you, there's no result.
But these two have always been often like close in the rankings or in the same group. Like that.
Well, close, but always Zach and Maddie enough ahead. I think that it was kind of established that was that hierarchy.
So, we talked about it a little bit. I really watched these again, and I really feel like Zach and Maddie have just lost their identity and their edge. It seems to me that when they were the underdog team, they were a little bit edgy, they were a little bit more willing to take risks, and they almost are like being the Diet Coke of trying to be Tessa Virtue when you're not. Like, going for the... But
I think when you get to a certain level, you want to play that part.
The romantic, right?
And
like the Romeo...
Forgetting what got you there in a way. It's hard to trust what got you there because you still have that residue of being an underdog and now you're not. So now you do something else.
Do you ever notice that Maryland programs don't work on the ice? They're cringy.
You don't think Lorene, whatever her name was.
No.
That was iconic.
It was iconic in a bad way, Jonathan.
Correct.
Right? Skating has gotten so similar and same that a remarkable bad program is so entertaining that you start to think that it is good, right?
But someone sent me online, wasn't there a Maryland program from Blades of Glory?
Maybe. There was a Maryland program by Tanya Kwiatkowski that made me feel the same way that this rhythm dance does.
But okay, so here's the material, right, which obviously in dance is playing a huge element in just apples and oranges and aesthetics and all this sort of stuff. If we're really talking about skating skills, speed, power, edges, all of this sort of stuff. I do not understand where Zach and Maddie... I think Piper and Paul may have more interesting material, but I don't think they compare with the power and the speed and edges.
They don't. However, I don't know if you noticed it in the free, but there's a lot of like almost sideways skating, especially that Zach does with like hockey stops and like jerky, that kind of detracts from the flow. And they're trying to make it like cool and edgy and like it's very like Marie France, like
modernist, yeah.
Right? And not like the flowy French, but like she often plays with this other kind of movement. And I find that it detracts from like a beautiful flow. Remember that this is a team that when they skated to Hallelujah really like showed off what they can do, right?
Sweeping. Yeah.
And to me, this doesn't show beautiful skating. This rock edge, it almost is like...
You're saying it almost detracts from the skating skills that they do.
Yeah, because I felt that Piper and Paul's program, even though it's schmaltzy, it was in front of a home crowd, I started to buy into it. And the costumes aren't so off-putting, even though they're not everyone's cup of tea. Yeah. Zach and Maddie's, like, the color is dark and, like, there's no joy in it. To me, there's... And then I also noticed in Maddie and Zach in both programs, and granted they haven't had a lot of training time because they did back-and-back events, but that was their strategy for the season.
Do you remember that cough he had at Skate America? Because he still has it. It's like some bronchial something or other.
Okay, so...
Yeah.
But I hope that they don't make that the excuse for not switching the programs because the judges were telling them something. They did not give them higher components.
Let's talk about the judges for 1 second because you know I love Fear and Gibson and I love that Madonna program and what it's doing. But for two judges, one Russian, but the other one was, I don't remember. But a non-Russian judge, and a non-Russian affiliated judge, I believe, put Fear and Gibson ahead of Zach and Maddie, which I think... I don't know.
The Russian judge is trying to dump them hard.
Yes, that was...
And I have predicted this, Jonathan.
It was Great Britain. It was Great Britain.
Well, I have told you again and again that they are coming for Zach and Maddie. Especially after that... Listen, if the Russians sense weakness, they will come for you, right?
Yeah.
In ice dance, especially, they have a Born-in-Kratz-sized target on them right now. And they are just opening the door like Riverdance.
Yeah.
Like, it is, like, so glaring right now.
Yeah.
And what I notice in their skating this season is, to me, and because the values of the lifts changed, it looks like they've gone back to lifts that they have used before, but I don't see anything particularly, like, groundbreakingly new in the lifts, but their twizzles are more complex than they did before, although there were bobbles, you know.
So riddle me this. Do you think that one goes back to the list from before because they think, okay, surefire point getter?
Yeah, comfortable, right? You can train them.
Yeah.
And they're trying other things, but the thing that I notice is in their side-by-side skating, like, we know them as being beautiful skaters, right? Mm-hmm. But... how much can you get? You can't give them the GOE, and I believe that it does detract from the skating skills when the unison is not there, because it gives a messy vibe, and their unison was not even close in the twizzles. And when they're doing the side-by-side no-touch steps, they're just not in sync. And to me, that's sloppy quality to it.
You're not able to appreciate how fast and big they're going.
I leave the whole program being like, was it that good? I've seen them better. Maybe they're not as crisp. Maybe they've never hit that level of crisp. It's not Tessa and Scott crispness. It's not Gabby and Guillaume. It's not Marilyn Charlie crisp. Like, it's not that level. And to me, I'm like, you know, when you're in Gabois, it's like they don't have the screaming coaches to be like, turn it this, you know?
Yeah.
But when you watch Piper and Paul, maybe because they are the main focus of Caroline, I felt like that being in sync looks like more of a priority. And the overall impression of when you see two people move together, even though Piper's posture and her free leg is not.
And I think their speed and ice coverage is not the same. But again, you're saying the fact that they're so in sync is making up for that.
Yeah, and the patterns were interesting. To me, it starts with the music, right? I'm already off-put by Hubbell and Donohue's music. Not the Shallow in particular. The Marilyn change to Megan Hilty makes me feel like sicky sweet here in the stomach.
Yeah.
For a team that used to give us that great rock program at the Olympics. Right?
Took the risk, was super cool, super current. So, okay.
There's the costumes and the moms made costumes for other people.
What would you have done with them?
Something more current, right? Like
something more current,
but I don't think you can't change both programs now, right? Like
no. And I don't think they should probably. I think they should probably. Don't you think make the changing the free a potential priority?
Well, I mean, it's lost twice, so
yeah.
At least the rhythm dance has won twice. So the rhythm dance, I would make it all smash. Just have one vocal. Don't let the mother ever make another dress. Never. Yeah. Okay? You have got to stop this, Look, I just uploaded because someone asked me to the program for 2015. We were talking about her costumes then. Okay? And it's not the same level of a fashion designer making it, right? And it's just, you're competing in a sport that is based on aesthetics.
And that's cool that your mom can do that. But don't you deserve something of the highest quality in the industry at this point? You know, you're a ton.
It feels like they're digging in their heels, right? But they're now at such a point where the judges are about to really attack them and make them underdogs again, that they are going to have to find their identity in force. And I don't think they saw it coming, right? I think they maybe got a little bit cocky and a little bit safe, right? Instead of pushing that artistic level.
Because you think the Russians think that they're going to try to get both of them on the podium.
Yes.
And
they're going to body shame them. They're going to do everything, right? We know this is coming, right? Yeah. It's.
But again, just having been at Skate America and seeing Stepanova and Buchan comparatively, again, ignoring the material for a second, which is hard, but if you ignore it for a second, the actual skating at hand,
it's like cheap thrills,
There's no comparison, between these two. And Piper and Paul, I'm giving them unique points, creative points, but it's almost because they're at a disadvantage to start, but they've taken the most of that opportunity to have to be funky and quirky.
I really think they deserve their win here. I have to say, even on the elements, when I was looking at the GOE, and that's where a lot of the points were won and lost here, I was thinking Piper and Paul deserved that. They did in the free. They look, the twizzles, and Piper saved a bobble on the twizzle and came back. And to me, they just looked more trained. It just looked like they worked harder
and they
on
had
the
been
little details
more often. This was a bit of a later iteration.
I mean, they've both, I think, done about 2 events, right? They've both done 2 events. I mean, Zach and Maddie obviously didn't get to go back to the training.
Well, and let's talk about that for a second, because Brady, the same situation. Brian,
Hubbell's done this every year, right? This is the third.
What kind of skater would you be?
Well, I think it's... So in terms of if you can do it, I think it's kind of ideal to have the events back to back, but then maybe you need the Senior B event, right? Because if you do this event here, it does hurt you in ice dance in the sense...
You can make 0 adjustments in this time period.
You can make 0 adjustments, but if you're strong enough, you should be able to go out and do it. And you have to know that traditionally the second event is the tougher event, right? Even mentally, physically, just to hold your nerve and your concentration. But the skaters who do it say that they don't really come down after the first event, they just stay up. Which is maybe tiring, but not as exhausting as if you were to drop and then come down. The nice thing is that if you have a program that is received really poorly, you now have 5 weeks before you would have to leave to the Grand Prix final to make a change. And that is a real benefit, to ramp yourself up and to work on things. Because otherwise it's you don't really have time before the next event. And then you get into a point where there's like never enough time in the season to make big changes. So I think that's one of the big benefits here. And if you're someone, you talk about peaking and coming down, and other times say if you got sick after an event and then you only have like a week to get ready for the next event. It's just like, I think that's hard. Okay,
that it would be even harder to take 1 week off of competition than do the 2 back-to-back, seemingly.
Yeah, like I feel like I would get excited for the Grand Prix events personally, right? Like, and I think that I would almost like to do them back-to-back if I were ready. If you're not ready, it's a nightmare, right? But if you're ready...
Hard to commit so far in advance and know.
Yeah, but you know your schedule June, right? And you know what you put in for. And they would have requested certain things. Right. And this is on their schedule. I think you might enjoy... their Grand Prix they're done with for right now. They have a lot of time to go train.
Here's another question I have. So let's say they decide they're going to do a new free, which we don't know. I have a feeling they'll probably tweak it or something instead of change it.
How can you tweak it? That music is awful, and it's like 2/3 of the program. So
I happen to agree with you, but I mean,
the audience either in America and in Canada, they didn't respond to it.
Yeah,
and it was in a popular film last year. This is not nationalistic. It was in a popular film, and they're not getting it. So continue. Sorry.
Well, I'm just curious because don't you think all of that team now is on the road until the final anyway? Marie-France, Patch, maybe Romain.
She's back.
Like, you got a lot of... I mean, you've got a Grand Prix every weekend now, so...
You do.
I think that would be difficult.
But there are enough people back, with them. I think at this point, you have to make the big change, and you have to self-direct it. And look, she's let people go to Christopher Dean. Maybe you bring... Well, he's on a show, too, right now.
But Christopher Dean would be an incredible choice for them because he would help them think outside the box.
They should call Renee Roca. She's done at Battle of Blades on Thursday. Call Renee. Okay?
Yeah.
That's what I would call Renee and have her come to the rink because she could...
Tell me why. Renee.
She's got a great point of view.
Okay.
She knows how to use the whole body. Remember that like weird stuff she would with Gorsha, like when they were pro, and she'd be like doing plank type stuff. She just has an interesting aesthetic, and she's not doing 17,000 programs.
Right. So she could give it a different kind of attention.
Yeah, like she does enough things where she makes enough money working with skaters that she doesn't do 10,000 competitive programs.
Who else has she done recently that I would remember?
Haven and Brandon, The Lion King.
Call Renee Roca.
You don't like that program?
No, I'm saying I'm obsessed with that
program. Okay.
Yeah, so I just forgot that she had done that Lion King. Of course. That kind of innovative thing is just what I'm craving from that.
Yeah. Like, she just has, like, this other point of view. And I think she was working with Katya on that Zorro program. I just feel like you could have a Renee Roca moment. Right. I remember she gave Stars and Ice this really cool finale, and it was just those like lazy generation of skaters, like the Sasha, Evan,
roll around on the ice. Yeah, okay.
That like didn't nail it, but like she even did this cool thing where they would like end at a line, and they had Michael Weiss was supposed to backflip and get in the line, and right at the same point, and boom, to Tina Turner. And I was like, she just gets it.
She gets it. Yeah, totally.
She just gets it, and I'm like, these two might need another voice to scream at them, or to give them like the blunt truth. And Renee Roca seems willing to give people the blunt truth.
To take them a new direction. Yeah. We'll see what happens there.
She was national champion with 2 different partners. Look, she knows how to get those men in line. So I think, and she's got a similar like appreciation for aesthetics as Marie-France, like enough where I would maybe bring in her to do it. She would tell Hubbell to never use that mother for a costume again. Like, it's the same criticism every year, okay? Right. And they're getting the highest level of funding from the USFS because they medaled at Worlds. So, and you get the stipend when you win. You can usually get a bonus from the USOC. Like there are different things when you win. You get the Grand Prix medal. So you have to make like smart choices at this point. Otherwise, they're going to be knocked off the podium, and if you're not careful, then it's like no Olympic medal, when you're setting up a career. So I think they're in a difficult spot. knowing...
And it's not to take away from Piper and Paul, because I was thrilled for Piper and Paul, because I think they've so long been underappreciated for their creative, points of view and perspectives.
They've been creative for a long time. So the judges have been...
But now they're almost, I don't want to say dumbing it down, because that disrespects the program they're doing both this season and last season. I happen to like it when it was an edgier kind of creativity, and this is a bit more easy for everyone to understand. Well, use schmaltzy, if you will. Like, it's just easy for everyone to understand, and now the judges...
It's designed for Doug Ha to get a tear in his eye, okay, Jonathan? You know he is crying like the queen that he is at his home, like...
Canada! Yeah.
He's like being like, it's like I see Tracy and Rob McCall out there, Like,
That's right. That's right.
The blonde and the brunette, it's... They're all...
Because you know what? Actually, they're in a way a taller Cranston of ice dance. In that, they're doing, I think, substantially creative things, because they kind of have to think outside of the box, and they really are pushing boundaries. I don't know. There was something taller Cranston.
I was telling one of the skating writers, I was saying that I think that a team should probably go to Caroline. And they were like, really? You think that she's the one that's going to bring them? And I'm like... Well, she seems to get the most out of Piper and Paul. Like, she's extracting every bit of potential out of them.
Yes, 100%. And I said I just like Paul because we have the same hair. But I also really liked the free dance, the curve lift and the rotational lift. Mm-hmm. Just the way it keeps going, it just takes your breath away. Some of it.
And it matches the music and enhances the music. And that music is hard not to love.
Yeah. And when they're doing the, like these hops and the diagonal steps, she takes a turn doing it and her leg is totally parallel and she's in a stag jump position and then he does it a couple seconds later. I don't know. It's very thoughtful. Mm-hmm. And that things come back and are cohesive. It wasn't just a series of random elements. And the ending, I thought, was phenomenal. Mm-hmm. It was built so well that you just want to jump out of your seat and be completely...
She looks gorgeous in that dress.
She's stunning.
Piper really looks great in that, really, really good. So, Fear and Gibson, I love that Madonna program. I get that it's a little bit simpler, transition-wise, than some of the other teams, and probably than Hawaii and Baker are doing, but it seems like them being clean, crisp, and engaging is working for them. Now, I thought that some of their twizzles could have had more speed, a little bit, more synchronized.
The PC, it's the actual skating skills. Like, I don't think they're probably as fast or as big, but again, you get so many props for hitting it right and doing something innovative and getting the crowd going in a performance kind of way.
And it seems like it's true to who they are. No, I don't think it should be second. But I thought the third was a great finish for them, right? Like,
and I know. Remember Caitlin Hawaik's eyes and the kiss and cry when she got that score? But again, Fear and Gibson, to me, it was a no-brainer.
I feel for Caitlin Hawaik because I just remember her crying at 2017 Nationals when they bombed the freight, right? And I remember how devastated she was. And I just feel like the Olympics are never going to happen for this team. And you feel like they've worked and had a lot of struggles. And they've fought the fact that they have a size difference and stuff, but then you're like, you did kind of set yourself up when you teamed up with that size difference, knowing it wasn't going to go away, right? It just is like a struggle bus for them.
Yeah.
And their skating is not as crisp as it used to be.
Or maybe as kind of inspired. It's a bit, I don't know.
It's a hard watch.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with you. And I always enjoyed them. They were with Angelica before.
Yeah, I remember when they did an Amelie program and it just swept your breath away, right? Yeah. And then they stayed in that same style. But it's like they've pushed it as far as it can go. Mm. And you know that the other teams are coming. And they know the other teams are coming.
Tara got in trouble at one Nationals. I think maybe it was Alex Johnson or, one of these kind of fan favorite skaters. And she said, it just seems like the sport has kind of passed them by.
She said something about the 80s with him, right?
Yeah. And it's in a way, as they have stayed true to what they do, Hawaii and Baker, and not, I feel like all of these other teams are just going right around them now.
I just don't think they have it. I don't think...
Fear and Sin do. They really do.
Ice dance is a cruel...
The judges hopped right on this.
It's a cruel
because they had a
sport,
cool program.
But, like, I don't know what they could do better. Like, you know what they could do, but it's just... Look, he's not going to grow taller and be like Zach Donohue size, and it's just a mismatch. And then Saturday Night Fever feels shticky to me. I don't know. Yeah. Like, it's a little Halloweenish. As does the Maryland.
As the shtick of the Spanish Greece program, that shtick is kind of
fun.
Works. That's fun in an amazing...
Because she would be a great pink lady. She gets it.
Right?
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Although I have to say, the Spanish, I love watching Hurtado. I don't know. She's just a feisty girl. I know that every program seems very flamenco. But...
Ironically, she was dressed like Besmianova and Buchan in '88 in that rhythm dance Gold LeMay number. I was like, dear
I didn't like their Hello Dolly. It didn't suit them. It doesn't suit her energy.
It was very strange. And
she's more of a like Spring Awakening type for me, like a little angsty. And I didn't get Hello Dolly from her. I don't think that was a good choice. But
you didn't get a stellar first twizzle either. She was like at a 45.
I would love to see her like. I think she probably screamed at Adria, right? Like I think that he was not.
Excuse me, I will never forget that Kiss and Cry. Remember, was that an autumn classic or it was some club competition in Canada? Remember, it was in like August, and you literally saw her going like this at the whole thing, and then they split like 2 weeks later. It was amazing.
I will never forget when I went to film, in Montreal, and Adria just like couldn't get his leg up on the camel spin, and everyone was like, leg, and you were like, that Sarah Hurtado must have just like crucified him. It just. And I remember Marie France said it in such a diplomatic way, like when she was judging and she was telling those two like, just dance, just dance.
Yeah,
use that. She was like, the partnership could no longer continue. And I was like, that is such a wonderful way of being.
They had irreconcilable differences.
Yes. Yeah. All right, so the pairs.
Again, do you still see them as number one in Spain? Sarah?
Olivia and Adria scored 10 points higher last week.
They did. Okay.
But
Interesting.
Spain is a topsy-turvy thing. So... I don't know. I think the Greece rhythm dance is good, but the other one is... I don't know if it's...
The rhythm dance for Greece is
I think Olivia and Adria are showing a little bit like they've matured a little bit through the School of Hard Knocks, and maybe they're a little bit better, but we don't want to give it to them just yet. They need to keep working for it, okay?
Yeah.
She needs to keep working that off-the-shoulder angle and giving us the most in that rhythm dance. Mm-hmm. So... Mm-hmm. And Sarah Hurtado, she's like a Deanna of ice dance. I just sense it.
I agree. You do get that vibe 100%. Even in that Gold LeMay.
I love her. Like, there's just this quality about her. Now, Lubov and Charlie, Jonathan.
Yeah.
Did they, like... like where something goes, like, surprisingly well, and then the next competition you, like, get knocked down to reality? This is more of what I expected. Although I didn't expect him to be, like, putting his hand down on the jump. Like, Yeah.
I mean, I have to say, for her hand down, and I wrote, they don't know why. Maybe, like, she was confused as to what even happened to her jump in the Kiss and Cry. And I thought, for you, that was, like...
They've said that she gets thrown off when competing, and she's, like, very different to the way she is in practice. Like, it's like an anxiety thing, but her, like, rhythm...
Which is interesting even after... I didn't know if after something like Cirque, there's just an immunity to the performance aspect of things. I know competition is totally different, but I didn't know if just having been out there constantly...
it has to help someone, so...
Yeah. And I think it probably is better than it was.
Yeah. It's interesting. Dylan had a funny thing on his Instagram stories where he's like, good luck to ex-partner number 1, good luck to ex-partner number 2. Because they were both confused.
That's funny. Oh my
amazing. Yeah.
But their spins are incredible with the music in the short program. I really appreciated it. And I love their lift exit.
Yes.
They have more of that lateral twist thing that I think just never works aesthetically for them.
Yeah. I don't like a lateral twist. No.
No, I don't either. And it it's just can never have the same impact, I find. So
they have a lot of good qualities to their their lifts are beautiful. She did a lot of them with Dylan, so we can't say it's all Charlie, but
yeah, of course, but it was fabulous. But it's the exit, just when it's so gorgeous and you think it can't be any better, and then they do that exit, and you're like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. Now let's talk about Alexa and Chris. They rotated 3 for 3 here. I mean,
We'll take hands down. That's fine. We'll take that.
What I notice about them is they had, the last 2 years, the last 2 seasons were rough in terms of their consistency. The Olympic season was not as clean as they would have liked. And then last year was difficult, obviously, with the post-Olympic come down, with the coaching changes, everything. I do feel like they've, and Alexis said something to us like where they've hit rock bottom and they're coming back. And it seems like the confidence is incrementally getting better. Right?
Which is all it can do.
It seems like they like being with Jenny and Todd. Jenny doesn't seem afraid of her. As one person said, like, Jenny Mino seems tough. But I do feel like it is getting steadily better. I do think they need more speed, especially in the free skate, sorry. I think that they need more speed and like a transition or two. But I love the da-da-da-da-da-da moment. I think that overall, the throws on 2 feet has got to go, right? Like that.
Yeah, and I don't recall that being a thing for them.
It started with a lot of the pairs. The swipe down of the foot became more acceptable. But I do think that they can... Look, I think that...
She was telling Jenny in the Kiss and Cry and the free that she felt like she never locked in. And I understand that sometimes when you're not being thrown, but just it was never just clicking, and you could analyze it to death, but it just wasn't jiving that day. But
now this caller, and I don't know if it was because the head caller is from San Francisco and American, and I asked a couple pair coaches, they said that Wendy is usually not really tough on this, so maybe it was the assistant, but the death spiral calls here, it was like a death spiral Nazi, and it was likely a lot of people that should have gotten like a 3 or a 4, like Alexa and Chris went around like 2.75 times, so that only counts as 2 clean revs.
But he knew he was worried about it, right? Because he was like trying to muster up the last one, I think is what he was saying in the Kiss and Cry. Because he said he knew it was going to be a close call.
And KMT and Michael talked about it too. But...
Oh, maybe that's who I'm thinking of. Oh,
yeah. It might be that her head didn't drop low enough right at the exact moment, right? Like quickly enough to drop the head into position may have been what they didn't give them the difficult entry for, because KMT didn't get it either, and they have obviously one of the greatest death spirals. And it was clear that the caller was extremely nitpicky about this element, but for everyone. So at least it's like a uniform, consistent thing, but it was very different, and it likely the difficult entry. They also didn't get a level 4 in the short. So, and they have beautiful death spirals this year. It's one of their best elements. Their twist, the greatest in the competition right now.
I believe that because even though we obviously Tarasova and Morozov's is also incredible, I really do prefer Alexa and Chris's. Mm-hmm. Totally.
And they just go for a clean level 3, right? Like they don't try for the split to get the level 4 or the arm, anything. So, but it's gorgeous and just.
And I thought Alexa and Chris had a fabulous throw in the short. I mean, the height and distance that they're getting is really, really nice. And again, their lifts are great, and they have the most pairsy looking, just kind of crossovers together, as in they just seem the most cohesive.
I think it's their 8th season together, so they think that this is like an eternity in U.S. pair years.
Yeah.
They've like almost been together as much as Tessa and Scott, XXI or whatever the season they are together, and they hashtag on Instagram. So
one of my favorite moments though was at the end in the move where Chris has his arm around Alexa like that. He just completely mooned the audience because he accidentally pulled Alexa's skirt all the way up. And the way she talked about it in the Kiss and Cry was hilarious. And you could tell Jenny was trying not to laugh because the cameras came back on them.
Sassy
and she was not succeeding. She was like losing it on the Kiss and Cry bench. It was very funny.
Sassy Jenny. She's really the star of that. dynamic.
Yeah, who knew? I mean, she's so quiet, doesn't always show up at these events, but there she was being amazing. Now, the judges had them all over the place. I mean, 4 of them had them in 4th from the free. 4 of them had them in 3rd. 1 of them had them in 2nd.
I
mean,
can see that.
They want them. They love them if they ever gave them enough.
Mm-hmm. They just had a couple little errors that it got sloppy towards the end. The throws especially, right? They were right there to capitalize. Because you know how the judges don't love? Tarasov and Morozov. I mean, granted, they open every door for you. But I have to say, Charlie White did this program, and as much as there are interesting transitions...
Did he do both, or which program?
No, he did the free.
Okay.
Their apathetic demeanor throughout the entire program is like, why do you bother? What is the purpose of this?
It does look like someone is telling them they have to skate, especially
they look like they hate each other. Let's be
They're
real
going
about
for
that.
Sexy a little bit at the beginning of this.
It says Trankov did the program, but I know that Charlie White did one of them. I think that maybe Charlie did the free. So, but it looks like... Yeah, it just looks like they hate their lives and each other and this entire... It's
a very off energy. And I've never understood, is that between them or was that between the team? But obviously now it's still happening.
Them too. They've been known to have some knockout, drag-out pair arguments, as one does, but...
Yeah. I mean, the twist was great.
I don't trust either one of them. It's not like there's like a weak link in this part. First of all, they both...
How did he... He's popping in the first one. She's popping in the second one, you know.
I don't trust them, and I always expect the car wreck. I don't trust them. They have the most beautiful lines, and yet I feel nothing when they skate.
Yeah, because again, they seem put out to have to do it.
Yeah, and it's... They don't have flair. They're so icy, but they look apathetic. Mm-hmm. Her stare, her eyes tell the story every time.
Yeah.
She does not want to be there with him half the time. It's what it looks like.
I want Marina to do an interview maybe at the end of this calendar year now.
Well, yeah. Do you think they'll be with Marina next year? Because it seems like it's going down, right?
I think it would be up to Marina. Yeah. I think that they may just have some issues here. Because, again, they have everything right there. Now, I will say...
Marina doesn't have the best track record with pairs. Outside of Gordieva and Grinkov, who there was another coach with them in the Kiss and Cry in 94. She really doesn't. In terms of, like, Johnny John's working with them and everything. She has not been the most stellar record. She's better in ice dance. So...
Yeah. Well, but if again, because they had all the things, they just had to kind of organize it and deliver...
Yeah.
So I wonder if that's why they thought she would be able to help with that.
Why has Moskvina never taken control of them? The great psychologist. That makes me wonder. That she couldn't make them more interesting?
The hypnotist.
She makes Boykova sort of interesting. And to me, they're almost as boring as Tarasova and Morozov.
Right. I mean, but I'll tell you, the lift, their reverse lasso lift and the free is, Tarasova and Morozov, is so gorgeous. And I wrote, I want to be her in that moment. And when Marie France on Battle of the Blades was talking about feeling the wind in your hair.
Yes.
She was just up there, and I felt like the wind was blowing through her hair. And, I don't know what it's like in the background.
I don't have wind in the hair type hair. My hair is kind of bushy and thick, and it gets longer.
Well, we'll give you those Evgenia wings then on your costume so they can flutter in the wind.
But I've never had wind in the hair. So when I see other people have fun hair that you can play, I have hair envy. I'm jealous of wind in the hair.
Well, I'm jealous of your in-shapeness, so don't worry about it. But I love the dismount to their lift also in the short program, where we got a lot of freckly chest exposure there from him. There you go.
Now, how about
I'm also interested by their throw loop technique, because we'll talk about KMTs kind of confuses me sometimes. But he really wraps all the way around her. He is full blown.
He's getting in close.
And we don't see that all the time, right? I think other people are kind of hip oriented, so they go like that. But he is really all the way around her, but it looks gorgeous when they get it. So
sometimes she can land a little bit on the whole blade on some of her throws. Like sometimes she's a little too vertical and comes down instead of...
Is that too much height?
It's too much height and not enough distance, right?
Yeah.
Deanna and Nate often had that problem, and it's that like old school throw technique, and it would be like she'd be coming down straight on your knee, and then she would turn out of it. So
yeah, okay.
Now KMT and Michael, I'm with you. I hate the Rihanna cover. I was into the vibe for the first program, and I liked the ending to the program. If I had to hear that cover every day, I would lose my mind. It is the worst singer doing Rihanna. And why not use Rihanna herself? I don't understand. I would not mind, but Rihanna's nasal, but she at least has some edge to her. I don't get why we're using the cover. I don't know if it's a rights thing. I don't know. But I hate the cover. Hate.
Yeah. Yeah. And I have to say, I was surprised. They had an 80s glam look about the whole thing. You know what I mean? Their twist in the short was tough looking to me.
They're not a great twist. He tried to redo it over the
positive GOE, which I was surprised by. Their
twist isn't the great element. It's like a +2 on a good day, right? Like it's just not the biggest. They don't get a lot of +4s and 5s, maybe outside of the Death Spiral. A lot of her stuff was solid. He, under pressure, clearly, we need to visit.
And versus her under pressure, when they in the short program, when they go into the throw triple loop, it was so disorganized and haphazard and seemingly on the fly. Only KMT could have pulled out a landing like that from that throw triple loop. Anyone else would have absolutely gone down on it.
It seemed like last year it took her a little while to adjust being the leading Canadian pair. Like it seemed like it just took her a minute. But she is like really comfortable and focused this season, as she was at the end of last season. And he needs to get his crap together. Like he needs to.
And the amount of relief on both of them, but really on him after the triple toe in the short, again, was an indicator that it's not like maybe they practice clean all the time.
I think they work hard, but they need to nail it. And I wasn't sure where they were going to end up because there were some good things. Charles Morozov put down a lift. So, you just, it was with the pop toe. I was like, oh my god. Kristen was really giving it in that performance. I love that free program. I think it's great. I think. Well,
and again, okay. So I was going to try to look at it with new eyes this time. So
and you hate it for all different reasons now.
Yeah. So now, no, I'm teasing. But when she goes up with the fake run, it just seems derivative because it was so iconic for Aliona and Bruno.
Excuse me, it was iconic for KMT and Michael when they skipped in the other program, and I said that I loved it every frickin' time we did an episode of the show.
And I feel like I might have just been silent about that moment.
It was great. It was great. KMT's a great runner. Not easy to do on the ice.
Yeah, there you go. They have tremendous speed. And then how awkward that after the sow and then the toe combo or whatever that went awry, that the choreography has them hugging in that moment of all times. To just stare each other in the eyes right after the jumping sequence would be potentially really tough. She has great right.
Would you want her to look at you after you missed anything?
That's what I'm saying.
She has that Kristen Chenoweth quality where she seems really sweet that she'll bite your hand off.
Yeah. And you know what? Rightfully so, because she's often delivering when he isn't. But it's the lift exit. Oh my God. I love it so, so much. And I also like the part of the program when she's swinging around his neck.
Yes.
There are some cool moments to the program that I really do appreciate.
And the swoop moment that they do. There's a lot of cool choreographic touches that Julie Marcotte did, okay?
There you go. So congrats, Julie. Those are the parts in particular I enjoyed about that free program.
Because I have to say, Boykova and Kozlowski have a nice Russian Moskvina quality to them. The way she makes them hold the landings, the lines. Not charismatic stars. They don't have X factor, but they went from being that workman-like pair to getting incrementally better. Each year. With the finish, with the line. And to me, there's like a little engine that could thing about this team where...
Well, if they just stay steady... Have we had any updates on Stolbova?
We have not. We'll see her at Nationals. So...
Okay.
But I don't think Moskvina is just just going to let Stobova go in there. And honestly...
No, but I mean,
she's still the best. She is still sharp as a tack.
Moscovini.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you know, I always felt that she had the most beautiful pairs ever. And you know that she brought the most out of Kavaguti and Smirnov, but they were always such a wonky, difficult watch pair. When someone's arm is coming out mid-program and they're putting it back in, it just wasn't the way...
She was Carol Laning, that team, for sure.
I just think it wasn't the way I wanted her career to end.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be nice if she got this team like a world medal? Like, come on. They don't look like they were meant to be stars, and she is bringing this out of them. They are delivering. So,
that's the thing. They're going with her.
And she's passing the knowledge along to Oleg. Like, even though he won an Olympic gold medal, then he was like, you ain't all that. Like, she's helping him here get to the next level. They're a good team.
Yeah.
So
it seems to be working.
She looks great. I loved her sweater. She showed up for the Grand Prix. She still knows that you need to look like $1 million when you're on TV. She gets it. The Russians, no. She is one sharp woman.
But what they didn't get for being as sharp and as knowledgeable as they are is where the climax of the short program Music to My Way was, because they land this huge, incredible throw triple flow. It's just wonderful. All the GOE. And about 4 seconds later, the music climaxes with this enormous swell and a boom. And I thought, if you had kind of just done that together, the audience would lose it. It would be so amazing.
I wonder who did the short. I wonder if it wasn't her usual people.
I mean, again, the music was kind of fun in a weird way. And talk about someone who's always done it her way.
So Bobrin was involved, and Bobrin did the... First of all, they have 5 choreographers listed?
You can never have enough, Dave.
Did they all work with you this season, or are you listing people from the past? Because Nikolai is listed. I don't even know who some of the people are, but your friend Besmianova is on the list.
Oh, well, she was already there because she was dressing Sarah Hurtado.
Yes. So it looks like maybe she did My Way. Isn't the first choreographer listed usually the short? And Igor Bobrin, who she's used a lot in the past.
Are you on the ISU page for that?
Yeah.
I wish they would make that page better and more.
We all do. Yes.
Yeah, because moments like this often come up. And I'm sorry, do that for the choreographers as well, because I want to know who did that short. I want to hire that person. I don't know. It's just a weird list in a poorly formatted page.
Yeah. And also, they're going to do an awards show at the end of skating season this year. There's going to be the ISU Awards with 7 different categories. It's going to happen during the championship. You're like Coach of the Year. Oh, yes. Best New Artist. Yes.
Oh, see, now that is problematic, in my opinion. Because I know that USFS or something can do that because they're to promote and streamline and stuff. ISU, I mean, if that's not an indicator to judges about, oh my gosh, that is... Ooh, I don't know how
the comments on Twitter were not universally loved. I mean, they need to do something to get skating like any buzz it can get, but...
It's also interesting to have an awards ceremony because basically Worlds is the awards ceremony. I mean, I don't know. That's tricky. You want to see choreographers?
Granted, every award show is rife with politics, and I don't think that skatings will be any different thinking about it.
But how would that not be... I don't know.
I know that they've thought about it for a long time. Someone talked about this on the show, on one of the episodes. I remember this. So,
I mean, again, if you know someone has the choreographer who won that award, you inevitably are going to, when in doubt, bump it up even if it's 0.25 on the PCS for choreography, composition, and interpretation.
Don't we already do that?
I know, well, but
Isn't that why Elton John sits in the Kiss and Cry with,
That's right. Yeah.
I wouldn't go to her for choreography.
I
see Elton John.
Musical selections.
You know, they still think that Candyman was a great choice. So, yes, they believe that Candyman was where it was at. So
just remember that. Remember that.
Candyman.
Well, I don't know if Moscovina was the one dressing Boykova and partner for the free skate. I mean, he was
There's
in
only so much you can do. Okay.
He was in a glitter bow tie and a Folsom harness.
Also, what's going on with Michael Marinero's is it like supposed to be a faux tuxedo? It just looks like a random black shirt that has a squiggle down the middle and a fake kerchief in there.
Well, I was surprised by the pocket. I guess it's not a pocket square because it was an angle, but it detracted.
Why do you need the pocket, Michael?
Yeah, the monochromatic clean line would have, I think, helped him better. I wasn't sure why they felt that it needed that.
Why the pocket?
He looked better in the sheer thing, in the short.
Yeah. Why did KMT allow that to happen? I don't know. But
well, because maybe she should be worrying about other things besides what he's wearing.
You are so shady, Jonathan. I love their program, and they just need to.
I'm totally teasing. It's just because we had that fun quasi joking back and forth the last time she skated. I really do like her as a person, and I do find. Are you kidding? I could lie to Dorothy any day of the week. You put Katya up, and then I'd have to be careful.
You know what?
Here's the problem with KMT. No, I'm just kidding. It's a joke.
Do you really think that I deserve to be behind Weaver or Poirier on Battle of the Blades? Is that not the most offensive thing you have ever seen?
I blame Kurt Browning.
Okay.
Just saying. I have to watch the...
We were supposed to have a wonderful clown number in 98-99, and then built around Kurt, okay? Anyway, we want to know, what was your moment of the week? Do you really think that Katya deserves to be behind Weaver and Poirier? If you weren't that Canadian, would you really do that to Katya? Is that fair? Don't you think her partner
she been through enough? Even on the show, they bring up the fact that her husband has died. Like
every time she skates the Kiss Cry.
Yeah.
Isn't her partner a better skater? No, he wasn't molested, but he does seem like he actually can skate well, which was the point of the show.
Right. At one point.
Okay. Listen to Katya. Try to get your Canadianness out of the way. Hold an edge and look sexy. Bye, guys.